Yanbei unexpectedly traversed into a fantastical realm, commencing his journey with the most formidable constitution between heaven and earth, the chaotic celestial body. Thus began the extraordinary trajectory of his life, akin to a cheat code. Congratulations, host. You have signed in and received the reward. Chaotic celestial body. Congratulations, host. You have signed in and received the reward. Celestial convergence technique. Congratulations, host. You have signed in and received the reward. Primordial chi cauldron. Congratulations, host. You have signed in and received the reward. 10,000 years of cultivation. And so it was that Yanbei, with each step, vanquished his foes, ultimately achieving enlightenment and becoming the unparalleled chaotic celestial emperor of the cosmos. Chapter 1. Chaotic celestial body, manifestation of celestial phenomena. In the Hongwu continent, within the eastern domain, lies the renowned Qingyun sect. Atop a mountain cliff, enveloped in swirling mists, this place appears as a celestial paradise. Here stands the infamous Qiulong Mountain, a place synonymous with confinement. As the name suggests, it is akin to a prison where only those disciples who have grievously erred within the sect are incarcerated. Due to its lofty altitude, the region remains perpetually frigid, characterized by a harsh environment. Yanbei, you dare to spy on the saintess while she bathed. You have severely violated the sect's regulations and should rightfully be expelled to be devoured by demonic beasts. However, the saintess, in her magnanimity, has spared you from death, yet you shall not escape punishment. From this day forth, you shall cultivate diligently on Qiulong Mountain. Without the sect's permission, you are forbidden to step beyond this place. Since his recent arrival in this world, Yanbei had been inundated with fragmented memories. Spying on the saintess while she bathed, he felt utterly humiliated, as if his dignity had been cast aside. Surely, he should face immediate retribution. Thud, thud, thud. In an open area of Qiulong Mountain, Yanbei relentlessly swung his fists, the air around him resonating with the force of his strikes. It seemed he was tireless, laboring for several hours without pause. That it was not sheer diligence that propelled him, rather. He was compelled by necessity, for the biting cold of Qiulong Mountain was intolerable. If he ceased his training, he would be besieged by the chilling winds. After another half hour, fatigue finally overcame Yanbei. Let it be cold after all. I shall not perish, he muttered, having grown indifferent to his plight. What have I done to deserve this? To endure such torment upon my arrival? He lamented his circumstances, reminiscing about his mundane life on earth, where he enjoyed a routine of 9 to 5 workdays and weekends of leisure. Who would have anticipated that a mere brush against a power strip while cooking would catapult him into this wretched place? After a brief respite, Yanbei felt compelled to return to the clearing, continuing to wield his sword, though his expression bore the weight of grievance. Why must I bear the brunt of this punishment when I was not the one peaking? He felt tears welling up in his eyes. Those who traverse into fantastical worlds often become esteemed sons of sacred lands or favored disciples of grand sects. At the very least, they possessed some extraordinary constitution. Yet here he was, confined to this dreadful locale from the outset, driving him nearly to despair. How was he to navigate this hellish beginning? At that moment, it seemed as if an unseen force had sensed something that a cold, emotionless electronic synthetic voice echoed in Yanbei's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host, on successfully traversing. The divine level sign-in system has been successfully bound. Host, Yanbei. Cultivation level, 5th layer of Qi refinement. Divine abilities, none. Sign-in attempts, 0. Please proceed with the sign-in. As the more times the host signs in, the more abundant the rewards will be. The host is entitled to 1 sign-in opportunity each day. Divine level sign-in system? Yanbei was momentarily taken aback, but soon a look of ecstatic joy spread across his face. As a traveler, how could he be unaware of such a system? His golden opportunity had arrived. Detection indicates that this place is Prison Dragon Mountain. Would the host like to sign in? Now, immediately. Sign in, Yanbei exclaimed, rubbing his hands together in excitement, unable to contain his eagerness. Ding! Congratulations, host, on successfully signing in for the first time. Reward, Beginner's Gift Pack. A Beginner's Gift Pack? Yanbei's eyes sparkled truly. This was the power of the system. Open, he commanded without a moment's hesitation. Congratulations, host, you have received the following rewards. Chaotic Physique. Congratulations, host, you have received the following rewards. Indestructible Classic of Chaos. Congratulations, host, you have received the following rewards. 3 years of cultivation. Upon hearing these rewards, a look of ecstatic joy illuminated Yanbei's face. Chaotic Physique. Indestructible Classic of Chaos. He was well aware of what these entailed. The chaotic physique is the most formidable and terrifying constitution in existence, bar none. The indestructible classic of chaos is an unparalleled technique tailored specifically for the chaotic physique. Their combination is simply unimaginable. In comparison, the 3 years of cultivation seemed trivial. Yet, better to have it than not. 3 years of cultivation equates to saving Yin Bei 3 years of arduous training, a significant boon that would allow him to break through multiple realms. Host, would you like to absorb the rewards now? Absorb. Yin Bei glanced around, ensuring no one else was present on Prison Dragon Mountain, and then spoke. He was the first disciple in a century to be imprisoned on Prison Dragon Mountain by the Qingyun sect, a feat that underscored the rarity of his survival. Yin Bei sat cross-legged and activated the indestructible classic of chaos within his body, completing a full cycle to fully activate the chaotic physique. Boom! As the 3 years of cultivation entered his body, Yin Bei's cultivation level surged rapidly. 5th layer of Qi refinement. 6th layer. 7th layer. 8th layer. 9th layer. He reached the pinnacle of the 9th layer of Qi refinement. At this moment, Yin Bei had achieved the peak of the 9th layer of Qi refinement, merely a step away from the Qi Si realm. Cultivation realms of Hongwu continent. Qi refinement. Qi Si, thunder tribulation, primordial spirit, divine palace, for extremities, transcendence, sage, saint king, great. Sage, supreme, semi-emperor, great emperor. Unbeknownst to Yin Bei, the outside world had erupted into chaos. High above the 9 heavens, the winds and clouds shifted ominously, and thunder roared. Boom! In that moment, countless ethereal figures of saints emerged from the heavens, dense and seemingly endless. The ethereal figures of the saints all bowed in unison toward the singular direction, which happened to be the location of the Prison Dragon Mountain. However, the sheer multitude of these saintly apparitions rendered it impossible for anyone to discern the exact entity to which they were paying homage. This extraordinary spectacle sent ripples of astonishment throughout the entire eastern region among the cultivators. What is this? Is it truly possible that the saintly figures have manifested? Who could they possibly be venerating? Many gazed upward with expressions of sheer disbelief, as such a heart-stirring scene had never been witnessed before. That a celestial phenomenon. Could it be that an extraordinary figure has emerged? The cultivators of the eastern region were left in awe, pondering the identity of the remarkable individual whose presence could invoke such a terrifying portent. Such a phenomenon is rarely seen throughout history. Even during the birth of ancient emperors, it could hardly compare. Meanwhile, within a hall of the Qingyun sect, a man of imposing presence stared in astonishment at the heavens. This phenomenon, why do I feel as though it has emerged from the very essence of the Qingyun sect? Just moments ago, he had a faint intuition that this celestial anomaly seemed to emanate from a certain place within the Qingyun sect itself. Yet, when he attempted to trace its origin, he found himself shrouded in a veil of obscurity, utterly unable to discern its source. After a brief moment, he mused, perhaps I have misperceived. Such a terrifying phenomenon could hardly be summoned by a mere sect like ours. With a self-deprecating smile directed at the sky, the formidable man soon succumbed to slumber once more. Chapter 2. Breakthrough. Qi Si realm upon the summit of Prison Dragon Mountain. During the primordial beginnings of the universe, as the great Tao unfurled, only my chaos remains eternal. Yin Bei murmured softly, having completed a full cycle of the indestructible chaos scripture. A stream of grayish-white energy emanated from his being, coursing incessantly through his meridians. Threads of this ethereal mist coiled around him, imparting an enigmatic aura to his presence. Seated in meditation, Yin Bei acclimated to the surging strength within him and the wonders of the chaos celestial body, completely oblivious to the happenings in the external world. At last, I have ascended to the pinnacle of the Qi refinement's 9th layer, he exclaimed, rising to his feet, fists clenched tightly, feeling an inexhaustible wellspring of power within. The pinnacle of the Qi refinement's 9th layer was indeed a remarkable achievement, even within the esteemed Qiyun sect. The revered saintess, whom he had inadvertently spied upon while bathing, had only just attained the Qi Si realm. The speed at which Yin Bei had reached the apex of Qi refinement would surely astound many. System, let us proceed with the daily check-in, he silently implored, relishing the sweet taste of success. However, after a prolonged wait, no response came. Why is there no reaction? He pondered, a perplexed expression crossing his face. Could it be that the system has malfunctioned? The system allows for but one check-in opportunity per day. Please make the most of it, host, and return tomorrow. Do not forget. Perhaps sensing Yin Bei's impatience, the system offered a gentle reminder. In the dead of night, At the stroke of midnight, within a pitch-black cavern of Prison Dragon Mountain, moonlight barely illuminated a pair of bright eyes blinking expectantly, as if awaiting something. Suddenly, the owner of these eyes seemed to sense a shift, and a dazzling row of pristine white teeth emerged from the darkness of the cave. "System, expedite my check-in." Yin Bei's voice echoed abruptly, but fortunately, he was alone on Prison Dragon Mountain. Otherwise, his exclamation might have startled any onlookers. The cavern fell silent for an extended period. "System, check-in." Yin Bei's eyes gleamed with fervor. He had long been eager for this moment. To ensure he could check in as soon as possible, he had foregone sleep altogether, remaining vigilant until the clock struck midnight. "Congratulations, host. Second check-in successful. Reward, Heavenly Concealment Technique." The system's voice resonated tirelessly in Yin Bei's mind, elucidating the method and effects of the newfound technique. The Heavenly Concealment Technique was an extraordinarily profound godly technique. Upon its activation, it allowed Yin Bei to shield his celestial secrets, rendering even the most formidable beings incapable of discerning his true cultivation level. Moreover, regardless of the magnitude of any awe-inspiring spell he cast, as long as he employed this technique, it would appear inconspicuous. Gazing at this technique, Yin Bei's eyes widened with admiration. This was truly an artifact for deception, enabling one to masquerade as a humble being while harboring great strength. When a cultivator breaks through to the Qi realm, they can gather spiritual energy within, inevitably creating a spiritual storm. Powerful cultivators possess an acute sensitivity to such storms, capable of perceiving them even from dozens of miles away. With the implementation of the Heavenly Secret Concealment Technique, he could obscure the celestial mysteries of this place when he later sought to transcend his current realm, rendering it impervious to prying eyes. Yin Bei smiled inwardly, a wave of delight washing over him. He had already contemplated that given the perils of the cultivation world, it would be far wiser to remain here in seclusion, diligently signing in each day, and wait until he became invincible before venturing out. What a splendid notion! After receiving his reward, Yin Bei finally laid to rest his lingering worries and drifted into a blissful slumber. Another day dawned. "Congratulations, host. Third check-in rewarded. 1 gathering chi pill." Yin Bei opened his palm to reveal a glossy, obsidian pill resting in his hand. How remarkably similar it looked to the legendary leg-stretching and eye-popping pill. Yin Bei swallowed the pill in one gulp. Had it not been for the fragrant aroma of the elixir, he might have hesitated. For everyone who has watched dramas knows the reputation of the leg-stretching and eye-popping pill. Upon swallowing the gathering chi pill, Yin Bei felt a gentle, medicinal energy circulating within his dantian. Moments later, a muffled thud resonated from within him, and a terrifying vortex of spiritual energy materialized above his head. The spiritual energy surrounding Prison Dragon Mountain began to stir violently. Startled, Yin Bei swiftly invoked the Heavenly Secret Concealment Technique, unleashing an imperceptible, intangible force that enveloped the entirety of Prison Dragon Mountain. This was the extent of his capabilities at present. Any further expansion was beyond his current cultivation level. After a full quarter of an hour, Yin Bei finally reopened his eyes. So this is the Qi realm? He gazed at the swirling vortex of spiritual energy in his palm, unable to suppress a smile. Once cultivators reached the Qi realm, they could gather spiritual energy within themselves and even project it outward. In future battles, channeling this energy into his hands or weapons would undoubtedly yield formidable power. Should I encounter that saintess again, I shall surely mete out justice. Yin Bei clenched his fist, his expression fierce. The saintess of Qingyun sect was rumored to be merely at the Qi realm, now that Yin Bei had also attained the first level of this realm. The outcome of a confrontation was uncertain. Just then, a melodious voice, reminiscent of silver bells, rang out from outside Prison Dragon Mountain. "Senior brother." A young girl in a flowing purple dress stood not far away, waving at Yin Bei. "Linger, what brings you here?" Yin Bei was momentarily taken aback, then smiled warmly. The girl, named Linger, was the daughter of the 7th elder of Qingyun sect, and Yin Bei was the elder's sole disciple, which forged a close bond between them. "Oh, isn't the disciple competition approaching? I just finished my training and thought I would come to see you." Linger wiped the sweat from her brow. As a delicate girl, climbing Prison Dragon Mountain had exhausted her considerably. "Come to see me? This Prison Dragon Mountain is quite remote. It's not a place one visits casually. So you must have come specifically to see me." With this realization, Yin Bei's gaze softened. "Senior brother, I brought you your favorite pastries from the town." Linger presented a small bamboo basket, hidden behind her back, to Yin Bei. As Yin Bei gazed at the bamboo basket, a warmth enveloped his heart. In this strange land, few truly cared for him. "Thank you, junior sister. You even remembered my fondness for the pastries from this shop." Yin Bei accepted the offering and led Ling Er into the cave. Chapter 3. The terrifying finger upon entering the cave, Ling Er halted, her gaze fixed on the harsh surroundings. A pang of sorrow struck her heart, and tears began to stream down her cheeks uncontrollably. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, my senior brother would have ended up in this predicament. Overwhelmed by the simplicity of the cave, Ling Er could no longer contain her tears. Yin Bei was momentarily taken aback, but then a realization dawned upon him, softening his expression. It's all right, junior sister, see. I am fine. He gently ruffled her hair and used his garment to wipe away the tears at the corners of her eyes. In truth, the incident where Yin Bei spied on the saintess bathing was shrouded in deeper circumstances. It was not a deliberate act of voyeurism. On the night of his capture, Ling Er had expressed a desire to admire the moon at the back mountain, and as her senior brother, he naturally accompanied her. Their path ultimately led them to the outskirts of a forbidden area of the Qingyun sect. Ling Er, in her stubbornness, insisted on venturing inside, and with no choice left, Yin Bei complied. Fate took a curious turn. Upon entering the forbidden ground, they encountered the saintess, freshly emerged from her bath, completely unclothed. The sight was startling. The saintess let out a piercing scream and, with a swift strike, knocked Yin Bei unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he found himself imprisoned in the Qiu Long Mountain. Senior brother, once we return, I will ensure that my father devises a way to rescue you once he concludes his seclusion, Ling Er proclaimed, wiping her tears and revealing a determined glint in her eyes. Yin Bei's master, who was also Ling Er's father, had been in seclusion when Yin Bei was imprisoned, thus unable to extend his aid. Otherwise, Yin Bei would not have been confined here. It's all right, junior sister. This place is conducive for cultivation and self-reflection. It suits me perfectly. There's no need to trouble my master. A faint smile graced Yin Bei's lips. He had no desire to leave. Remaining in Qiu Long Mountain was quite pleasant. He had already made significant progress in just a few days. If he could endure for a year, 10 years, or even 20, he believed that one day he would surpass everyone. The thought filled his face with anticipation. Moreover, if this unformed chaotic body of his were to be discovered by powerful cultivators, he would undoubtedly be in peril. Should an ancient being attempt to usurp him, he would have no recourse for justice. Ling Er, observing the foolish smile on her senior brother's face, felt an even deeper sense of guilt. It seemed she had confined him for too long, leading to a state of bewilderment. This only solidified her resolve to plead with her father to rescue him upon their return. After some idle chatter, Ling Er took her leave. The disciples' grand competition was imminent, and as a contestant, she needed to hasten her cultivation. Congratulations, host, successful check-in. Reward, Space Divine Eye. Congratulations, host, successful check-in. Reward, Heavenly Finger Technique, 7 days later. Congratulations, host, successful completion of the 10th check-in. Reward, 10 years of cultivation. Absorb. In the depths of a cave, Yin Bei sat cross-legged, his body continuously circulating the Eternal Chaos Sutra, preparing to absorb the cultivation attained from today's sign-in, which amounted to 10 years of progress. Suddenly, with a muffled thud, Yin Bei reopened his eyes, a formidable aura emanating from within him. System, open the panel, he commanded with practiced ease. Host, Yin Bei. Cultivation, peak of Qi-Si realm. 9th level, divine abilities, celestial concealment technique, spatial divine eye, heaven-piercing finger technique, sign-in count. 10 times, satisfied with the system display, Yin Bei nodded approvingly. In less than half a month, he had ascended from the 5th level of Qi refinement to the peak of the 9th level of the Qi-Si realm, a speed so terrifying it was nearly unfathomable. The Qingyun sect, considered a modest force in the eastern domain, boasted only a few practitioners at the Thunder Tribulation realm. Thus, it was evident how formidable Yin Bei had become, surpassing even some elders within the sect. Yin Bei, your meal is here. The disciple delivering his food was in a great hurry, placing the meal on the ground before swiftly departing. After inquiring, Yin Bei learned that the grand event of the Qingyun sect was imminent. The triennial disciple competition was about to commence, and all disciples were busily preparing for the morrow. Spatial Divine Eye activate. Yin Bei intoned solemnly. He had yet to employ this newfound ability, and now seemed the perfect moment to assess its efficacy. At that instant, a radiant divine eye manifested at the center of his brow. Upon channeling his mental energy into the spatial divine eye, he discovered that he could perceive everything within a 500-mile radius with clarity. This meant that if Yin Bei wished to observe anything within that distance, he could do so at will, and with the celestial concealment technique, his use of the spatial divine eye remained undetectable. This is splendid, Yin Bei exclaimed, his excitement palpable. Now, he could remain secluded on Prison Dragon Mountain without concern. By merely activating the spatial divine eye, he could gain insight into everything. He could watch the world's events unfold and observe the transformation of the sea into fertile land. This captured the essence of Yin Bei's current existence. Without stepping outside Prison Dragon Mountain, he could remain informed about all occurrences within the Qingyun sect. Seated in the cave, Yin Bei beheld Ling Er diligently practicing her swordsmanship in a bamboo grove, witnessed his master in meditation, and noted the bustling disciples preparing for the upcoming competition. Soon, he withdrew his gaze, realizing that the entire sect was focused on their preparations, leaving little of interest to behold. Now at the 9th level of the Qi-Si realm, he had yet to test the heaven-piercing finger technique and was curious about its power. Rising from his seated position, he stepped into an open area. Since his arrival in this world, he had not unleashed his strength, and he resolved to experiment and gauge his true capabilities. Suddenly, a powerful force radiated outward from Yin Bei, creating ripples in the air, a breathtaking spectacle. Heaven-piercing finger technique, first form, a finger that shakes the heavens. Yin Bei bellowed, his gaze fierce as he concentrated all his spiritual energy into a single finger, then thrust it upward with tremendous force. Boom! With a terrifying explosion, a massive hole was blasted into the clouds above the Prison Dragon Mountain. Alarmed, Yin Bei's expression shifted as he swiftly employed the heavenly concealment technique to envelop the entire mountain. Simultaneously, in a grand hall of the Qingyun sect, a man with an imposing demeanor sat. Suddenly, as if sensing something, the man, who had been in slumber, abruptly rose with a change in countenance, his consciousness spreading outward like a vast tide. What is happening? Qingyun furrowed his brows. He had been abruptly awakened by an exceptionally powerful aura just as he had fallen asleep, yet when he extended his consciousness to investigate, that overwhelming presence vanished without a trace, as if it had never existed, rendering his efforts futile. Could it be that I misperceived once more? Qingyun shook his head, expressing his doubts. Master. At that moment, an elder appeared in the hall, bowing slightly to Qingyun. 7th Elder, did you sense a terrifying aura just now? Qingyun's eyes brightened upon seeing the newcomer. A terrifying aura? For the sect master to utter such words, could it be a high-level thunder tribulation expert? Or even a formidable soul transformation cultivator? The 7th Elder replied, his face filled with confusion. I only just arrived and did not sense anything. Not sensing anything. Qingyun grew increasingly puzzled. Could it truly be that he had been in a stupor, as it seemed he had been misperceiving frequently of late? 7th Elder, now that you have completed your seclusion, what brings you here? Qingyun shook his head, choosing to dismiss the earlier incident. Perhaps he truly had misinterpreted it. Tomorrow is the disciples' grand competition. Master, may my disciple Yin Bei participate? The 7th Elder hesitated as he gazed at Qingyun above. For now, let Yin Bei remain at Prison Dragon Mountain. He need not partake in this competition. Qingyun pondered momentarily. Upon hearing this, the 7th Elder let out a slight sigh. Just as he was about to speak further, Qingyun interjected, Old 7, you know as well as I do. Remaining at Prison Dragon Mountain is the best option for Yin Bei at this time. Should he emerge, the Holy Maiden, with her gentle nature, would say little. Yet the Holy Sun would undoubtedly seek to make his life difficult. Keeping him on the mountain serves two purposes. It offers a way out for everyone, and it also protects him. Qingyun's gaze was heavy as he explained to the 7th Elder. He understood that Yin Bei was the only disciple of the 7th Elder, someone he regarded as his own. He could empathize with the desire to rescue Yin Bei. However, as sect master, he had to weigh the pros and cons. The Holy Sun was, after all, a pillar of the sect's future, while Yin Bei was merely an ordinary disciple with mediocre talent. The Holy Sun's affection for the Holy Maiden was not a recent development. Although the Holy Maiden had not acquiesced to his feelings, it was common knowledge throughout the sect. And now, having inadvertently glimpsed the Holy Maiden in her vulnerable state, the Holy Sun, who had already envisioned her as his future partner, could not let this affront go unpunished. He had attempted to eliminate Yin Bei several times, though each attempt had been thwarted. Presently, Yin Bei's confinement in Prison Dragon Mountain was his safest haven. Should he step outside, the Holy Sun would surely not let him off easily. However, once this grand competition concludes, I shall seek an audience with the Holy Sun. By then, his ire should have subsided. Observing the sighing 7th Elder before him, Qingyun slowly shook his head. The 7th Elder, named Fenghan, is one of the few formidable figures at the Thunder Tribulation realm within the Qingyun sect. Having made significant contributions to the sect, thus Qingyun felt compelled to exercise restraint in his actions. Then I am grateful to the sect leader, Fenghan replied, his expression finally softening as he hastily offered a respectful gesture towards Qingyun. It is but a trifling matter. Perhaps your disciple has grown accustomed to life on Prison Dragon Mountain and may not wish to descend. Qingyun gestured to lighten the mood. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Fenghan's mouth as he shook his head. How could that be? The following day, on Prison Dragon Mountain. Congratulations, host. Sign-in successful. Reward, Ghostly Shadow Stealth. Ghostly Shadow Stealth is a divine-level footwork technique that, when activated, enables instantaneous movement, the higher one's cultivation, the greater the distance one can traverse in a single bound. Currently, Yanbei, at the 9th level of the Qi realm, can teleport up to 50 meters. Usable 5 times within an hour. Yanbei, glancing at the skill description, grinned widely. He had acquired yet another life-saving artifact. With the sign-in complete, the board Yanbei activated the spatial divine eye to watch a live broadcast. As for cultivation, with the system in place, what need is there for training? Why not simply relax as a leisurely scholar upon this prison dragon mountain? At this moment, countless disciples gathered in the main square of the Qingyun sect, their gazes fervently fixed on the center of the plaza, where 2 disciples were engaged in a spirited contest, exchanging blows with great fervor. Yet, Yanbei found the display rather dull. Having attained a high level in the Qi realm, he held no interest in the matches of these Qi refining realm disciples. Just then, a figure caught Yanbei's attention, the holy maiden of Qingyun. Clad in white, her beauty was unparalleled, her starry eyes shimmering with celestial light, exuding an air of aloofness that kept others at bay. She was none other than the current holy maiden of Qingyun sect, Qiming. Yanbei felt a tinge of intrigue towards her, particularly given that his previous incarnation had once surreptitiously observed her bathing. Although the fragmented memories were somewhat hazy, he could still recall the alluring curves of the holy maiden in the bath. Gulp. As these thoughts crossed his mind, Yanbei felt a dryness in his throat and quickly shook his head, resolving not to gaze upon Qiming any longer. He feared he might lose control and succumb to the temptations of transcending time itself. The competition progressed swiftly, and Yanbei soon spotted Linger taking the stage. However, with her cultivation at the 7th level of Qi refining, she was eliminated in the 3rd round. 9th level of Qi refining? Pathetic, scoffed a youth clad in a blue robe on the stage, his eyes brimming with disdain. He was none other than the holy son of Qingyun, possessing a cultivation of the 4th level in the Qi realm. Facing him was a disciple at the 9th level of Qi refining, who, despite decent talent, wore a grave expression in the presence of the holy son, acutely aware of the vast disparity in their strengths, leaving him with no hope of victory. Boom. With a resounding impact, the opponent was sent flying by a single palm strike, crashing to the ground and coughing up blood, severely wounded. After defeating his opponent, the holy son of Qingyun gazed down at the audience cheering for him, a broad smile illuminating his face. In this moment, his vanity found immense satisfaction. On the distant Qianglong mountain, Yanbei could not help but shake his head at the scene, recognizing that the holy son of Qingyun showed no regard for the bonds of brotherhood, inflicting severe injuries upon his adversaries with each strike to demonstrate his prowess. Little did the holy son realize that while such actions might establish his authority within the sect, they simultaneously alienated the hearts of the people, an invaluable asset. Meanwhile, on another platform, a chorus of astonished gasps erupted as Qiming triumphed over her opponent. Unlike the holy son, she did not rely on her formidable cultivation to bully the weak. The disciple who fell to her might bore no animosity, instead gazing at her with admiration and respect. As time flowed relentlessly, the grand competition approached its conclusion. With a resounding shout that echoed through the arena, there was no doubt, the holy son of Qingyun emerged victorious, claiming the championship with overwhelming strength. After all, he possessed a formidable cultivation at the 4th level of the Qi realm, rendering ordinary opponents utterly defenseless against him. The level of disciples in this cohort had indeed risen. Qingyun stood upon the high platform, observing the holy son and the holy maiden, repeatedly expressing his approval, a testament to his inner joy. Yet there was a tinge of regret. The holy maiden did not take to the battlefield today. Had she engaged, the outcome of the championship might have been uncertain. An elder, observing Qiming in the arena, shook his head in quiet lament, feeling a profound sense of loss for her. In this grand competition, it was expected that the holy son and holy maiden would contend against one another in the final showdown. However, as the decisive moment approached, the holy maiden Qiming unexpectedly descended from the stage, causing a stir among the crowd. Her departure signified surrender, the anticipated clash between the holy son and holy maiden, which promised to be an exhilarating duel, ended in surprise as she conceded defeat. This unprecedented move left not only the disciples bewildered, but also the esteemed elders in a state of shock. Could it be that the holy maiden feared the holy son? Qingyun watched this scene with an amused smile, knowing full well that the holy maiden's concession was not born of fear. Qiming held another identity. She was his biological daughter. As a father, he understood her intentions. She simply wished to avoid the limelight. Qiming had always been indifferent to fame and fortune, holding little interest in such matters. What the holy son desired, she would willingly relinquish. She firmly believed that a cultivator's true strength lay within themselves, not in ephemeral accolades. Even if one basked in the public eye, if their power was shallow, What distinguished them from an ordinary person? This girl possesses an intriguing spirit, thought Yin Bei, a slight smile gracing his lips. Observing the unfolding events from Qianglong Mountain, he regarded Qiming with newfound respect. With the competition concluded, Yin Bei lost interest and prepared to close his spatial divine eye to resume his slumber. The thought of seizing the championship for himself had never crossed his mind. He firmly believed that survival was the true path to greatness. Suddenly, a spark ignited within him. Yin Bei sat upright, his eyes ablaze with brilliance, astonished as he beheld the scene unfolding at the grand competition. As the elders prepared to crown the holy son of Qin Yun, an unexpected voice pierced the air. A young man clad in black leaped onto the stage, catching everyone off guard and igniting a flurry of speculation regarding his identity. "Who are you? Get down at once." The holy son of Qin Yun frowned, his irritation palpable as this interruption came at such a critical moment, akin to an unwelcome disruption during a significant event. The elders, witnessing their holy son's reaction, sighed inwardly. Despite his considerable talent, his temperament was lacking, displaying hostility without inquiring about the stranger's identity, a most unwise course of action. "Oh, the holy son is quite fiery," the young man in black remarked, a hint of a mischievous smile playing at his lips. "I am Ling Feng of the Seven Treasures sect, honored elders." He directed his bow not at the holy son, but towards the sect leader and the assembled elders. The Seven Treasures sect? How did he come to be here? The disciples in the crowd stirred with agitation. The Seven Treasures sect, a formidable force in the eastern region, stood on equal footing with the Qingyun sect, thus their relationship was competitive. Ling Feng was renowned as a prodigious talent, a once-in-a-century disciple of the Seven Treasures sect. His appearance at this delicate juncture raised suspicions about his intentions. The holy son of Qingyun glowered, his gaze towards Ling Feng laden with hostility. Discerning that this individual was clearly there to sow discord. "Oh, since you are a friend from the Seven Treasures sect, pray tell, what brings you to our Qingyun sect?" Qingyun, ever astute, perceived Ling Feng's motives and felt a tinge of displeasure, yet refrained from expressing it. "Having heard of the grand event hosted by the Qingyun sect today, I thought to visit during my arduous training. I hope the esteemed elders will forgive my uninvited presence," Ling Feng replied with a subtle smile, exuding confidence and displaying no fear in the presence of numerous formidable figures. "Well spoken. Since our young friend has graced us with his presence, we shall extend the courtesy befitting a guest. Elder 7, please attend to Ling Feng properly," Qin Yun said with a smile, bestowing considerable respect upon Ling Feng. Elder 7, initially taken aback, quickly regained composure. "Young friend Ling Feng, after your long journey, please allow me to escort you to the inner hall for a brief respite," he said, his demeanor amiable, revealing no trace of inner turmoil. Ling Feng, upon hearing this, inwardly cursed the old fox. Qin Yun's diplomatic finesse was remarkable, nearly ensnaring Ling Feng in his web of subtlety. Fortunately, Ling Feng was acutely aware of his purpose for being there. "Your kindness is appreciated, esteemed elder. Earlier, while observing from the sidelines, I noticed the exceptional talents among your sect's disciples and found myself eager to engage in some sparring with my esteemed seniors," he declared, abandoning any pretense of politeness and cutting straight to the heart of the matter, fully aware that any verbal sparring would be futile against Qin Yun's cunning. Upon hearing Ling Feng's words, the expressions of the elders, including Qin Yun, darkened momentarily. "This is a competition among the disciples of our Qin Yun sect. If you wish to spar, it would be better to choose another time." The cold wind exchanged a glance with the sect leader, then turned to Ling Feng with a congenial demeanor. "Shall we choose a different time?" At this moment, all eyes were on them. The arena stood tall, and to me, this was the most opportune moment. "Who among the Qin Yun sect dares to battle me?" Ling Feng slowly shook his head, and his previously gentle aura transformed into one of unparalleled arrogance. His gaze swept across everyone present, ultimately settling on the holy son of Qin Yun, laced with a hint of disdain and brimming with provocation. The elders, who had initially worn somber expressions, changed their countenance upon hearing his words. Ling Feng was resolute in his intent to clash with the Qin Yun sect. Impudent. At this moment, the cold wind's expression darkened. Ling Feng was oblivious to his own folly, openly defying his wishes. How could the sect competition allow interference from outsiders? Boom. A thunderous sound erupted as the terrifying might of the thunder tribulation realm descended from the heavens, suffocating those present and making it difficult for them to breathe. What an overwhelming pressure. Truly, a formidable foe of the thunder tribulation realm. Apart from Qin Yun, everyone else looked on in shock at the cold wind. The usually affable seventh elder displayed an unexpectedly fierce side. Even Yin Bei, trapped on Dragon Prison Mountain, was taken aback by the imposing figure of his unknown yet advantageous master. What? Is the elder about to take action against the junior? Ling Feng, feeling the oppressive aura of the Thunder Tribulation realm, was secretly alarmed but maintained his composure, confident that the other party would not dare to strike him. Seventh Elder, stand down. At that moment, a voice of authority echoed, and Qing Yuan ascended the arena. Upon seeing the newcomer, Ling Feng's heart jolted. Qing Yuan was unlike the cold wind. He was a master of the seventh layer of the Thunder Tribulation realm, surpassing even the sect leader of the Seven Treasures sect by a small margin. Chapter 6. The Holy Sun's defeat. Qing Yuan regarded Ling Feng with a furrowed brow. The latter stood backed by the Seven Treasures sect, and as an elder, he could not openly confront him. Each year, a few challengers like him appeared at the sect, and Qing Yuan had grown accustomed to it. Young friend, if you wish to spar with the disciples of the Qing Yuan sect, I kindly ask you to wait until the competition concludes, Qing Yuan said in a calm tone. I apologize, I was presumptuous earlier. Since no one from your esteemed sect dares to accept my challenge at this moment, I shall take my leave. Farewell. Ling Feng slightly bowed to Qing Yuan and began to retreat, seemingly intending to depart. This statement, though appearing to be an apology, was, in fact, a derisive jab at the Qing Yuan sect, insinuating that no one there dared to face him. What a clever lad. Even in the act of killing, he does not forget to strike at the heart. Goodness, this boy is exceedingly arrogant. Huh, if I were the Holy Sun, I would surely tear him to shreds. How could one bear this? Many disciples could no longer contain their outrage, their eyes fixated on Ling Feng with hostility. Qing Yuan's expression darkened in an instant, his heart seething with anger, yet he refrained from displaying it. After all, compared to him, Ling Feng was merely a junior, and he could not bring himself to lower his dignity to deal with him. The Holy Son of Qing Yuan was equally furious. Ling Feng's arrogance was simply intolerable. Sect leader, what shall we do? The cold wind cast a grim look at Qing Yuan. In accordance with his wishes, Qing Yuan now comprehended that there was no turning back. Should he refuse, the disciples would deem Qing Yuan's sect inferior to Seven Treasures sect. Humph, a once-in-a-century genius from Seven Treasures sect? I wonder what grounds you possess to be so arrogant. At that moment, a cold snort resonated, and the expression on Qing Yuan's Holy Son became exceedingly grim. He had long since reached his limit. Had the elder not intervened, he would have charged forth, confident that as one of the most formidable disciples of his faction, he was no lesser than anyone else. Suddenly, a powerful aura erupted from Qing Yuan's Holy Son. As the Holy Son, he was not someone to be easily bullied. Ling Feng, who had been prepared to depart, halted upon hearing this remark, a strange smile curling at the corners of his mouth. His purpose in coming to Qing Yuan's sect was to fulfill the sect's directive to suppress them, and it appeared that his aim was nearing fruition. Your Highness, is it necessary for you to intervene personally? Allow me to engage this youth and ascertain whether he possesses the qualification to battle you. A young man clad in splendid attire stepped forth from behind Qing Yuan's Holy Son. He was Zhang Ming, the personal disciple of the Ninth Elder, wielding the cultivation of the first level of Qi-Si realm. Qing Yuan's Holy Son furrowed his brow in contemplation before nodding in agreement. Then I implore you, junior brother Zhang, to exercise utmost caution. Should you find yourself at a disadvantage, retreat immediately, he instructed Zhang Ming with genuine concern. It was not without merit to allow Zhang Ming to test Ling Feng's prowess. Qing Yuan sect, Zhang Ming, I seek your guidance, Zhang Ming declared as he stepped onto the arena and offered a slight bow to Ling Feng. Is this the best you can muster, sending forth such a weakling? Ling Feng's eyes reflected disdain as he slowly shook his head. At that moment, the gentle demeanor he once possessed had vanished, replaced by an air of arrogance, as if he held no one in high regard. This display ignited a flush of indignation on Zhang Ming's face. He had not anticipated such blatant disrespect from Ling Feng. You are exceedingly arrogant. Xiantian Mingri's sword. Fueled by fury, Zhang Ming resolved to teach him a lesson and unleashed his most formidable attack. Ling Feng regarded the incoming sword strike with contempt, raising his hand to deliver a punch. Boom. A light sound echoed in the void before a terrifying force erupted from his fist, sending Zhang Ming hurtling away. The disciples erupted in astonishment. While Zhang Ming was not the most exceptional talent of Qing Yuan sect, his strength was nonetheless formidable, ranking among the top 5. Yet even so, he could not withstand Ling Feng's blow. This once-in-a-century genius truly lived up to his reputation. How terrifying. It was evident that Ling Feng's strike had been casual, yet it bore such overwhelming power. Numerous disciples gazed in horror at the figure clad in black upon the arena. Qing Yuan's Holy Son wore a grave expression. Though he could also send Zhang Ming flying with a single blow, he could not do so with the same ease as Ling Feng. Your Highness, will you not descend? Ling Feng cast a glance at Qing Yuan's Holy Son. To him, Qing Yuan's sect seemed rather unimpressive. He was eager to defeat this rabble and return to his sect for further cultivation. Far away at Prison Dragon Mountain, Yin Bei watched with relish as the spectacle unfolded. Reclining within a cave to enjoy the live performance, Few pleasures could rival this. Humph. Let me see what skills you possess. The holy son of Qin Yun could no longer tolerate Ling Feng's provocation and charged at him like a cannonball. Thunderclap fist. The holy son of Qin Yun roared, a terrifying wave of energy suddenly surging around him. As lightning erupted from his right fist, a punch mark hurtling directly towards Ling Feng's face, appearing utterly formidable. Humph. Mere trifles. Ling Feng scoffed, his gaze filled with disdain. Boom. An overwhelming force erupted from his body, instantly transforming the atmosphere. The powerful aura of the 7th level of the Qi-Si realm pressed down upon everyone present, making it difficult for them to breathe. The 7th level of the Qi-Si. How could this be? At this moment, not only was the Holy Sun shocked, but many of the elders were also taken aback. Ling Feng actually possessed the cultivation of the 7th level of the Qi-Si. This is bad. Holy Sun, retreat. An elder's expression changed drastically as he glanced at the Holy Sun charging towards Ling Feng, immediately shouting to warn him to fall back. It was too late. Watching the Holy Sun rush towards him, Ling Feng let out a cold laugh, then abruptly raised his arm and struck forward with a palm. Boom. In an instant, a terrifying explosion echoed, followed by a figure clad in a blue robe being blasted away like a cannonball. Holy Sun. Many were left aghast, their faces paling at the sight. How could this be? Even the Holy Sun could not withstand his palm. They never expected that their sect's strongest Holy Sun would be unable to endure even a single strike from his opponent. The disparity was simply too vast. This fellow can even be a Holy Sun. It seems the Qin Yun sect is not as formidable as it appears. After sending the Holy Sun flying with a single palm, Ling Feng spoke with evident disdain. He had come here on a mission, and now that he had the chance to suppress the Qin Yun sect, he would not let it slip by. Chapter 7. Ling Er is injured you. The elders were furious, their eyes glinting with menace as they glared at Ling Feng. Yet they restrained themselves from attacking. After all, if they were to intervene, the situation would escalate into a conflict between the two major sections. Ling Feng, I shall have a word with you. A chilling voice descended from above, and Qi Ming instantly appeared on the arena, her gaze icy, emanating a frigid aura. The Qin Yun sect was her father's sect, and now that it was being slandered, as the holy maiden of Qin Yun, she could not remain indifferent. Your sect's strongest holy son has already been defeated, and you still wish to challenge me? Ling Feng furrowed his brow. He recognized Qi Ming, the daughter of the sect master of Qin Yun, a fact known to all. If that holy son was unfortunate, should he dare to harm Qi Ming, he would find it exceedingly difficult to leave Qin Yun's sect alive today, for that old man cherished his daughter dearly. The champion of the competition does not necessarily equate to the strongest. Without having fought, how can the outcome be determined? Qi Ming's gaze was frigid, a powerful chill radiating from her, causing everyone present to shudder. In the distance, the still injured sacred son of Qin Yun heard these words, and instantly, a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out, his breath growing even weaker. On Qianglong Mountain, Yanbei, upon hearing this remark and witnessing the anguished expression of the sacred son, burst into laughter, finding the situation quite amusing. This girl had managed to infuriate her own ally with a single sentence. You are at a significant disadvantage compared to me. There is no chance of victory for you. Moreover, blades are blind. Are you truly certain you wish to engage me in battle? Lin Feng furrowed his brows. Unless absolutely necessary. He genuinely did not wish to clash with Qi Ming. Enough with the nonsense. Winter's chilling light. Qi Ming, growing increasingly impatient, suddenly emanated a terrifying aura that surged forth towards Lin Feng with lethal intent. Boom. Lin Feng raised his arm in a hurried defense, his complexion shifting as he realized that his right arm had been ensnared by a layer of frost, rendering it completely numb. At that moment, the temperature of the entire realm plummeted. Within mere breaths, the arena was blanketed in frost. How is this possible? 6th level of the Qi-Si. Lin Feng's expression changed as he sensed the formidable energy radiating from Qi Ming. Everyone present was equally shocked by the power she exuded. It was indeed the 6th level of the Qi-Si. Initially, they believed the sacred son, at the 4th level, to be exceptionally gifted, only to discover that the sacred daughter had been concealing her strength until now. Even the elders present, including Qin Yun himself, were taken aback, realizing at this moment the extent of the sacred daughter's cultivation. Meanwhile, the sacred son of Qin Yun cast a glance at the ethereal figure of the woman in the center of the arena, feeling a twinge of embarrassment wash over him. There is nothing impossible. Achieving the 6th level of the Qi-Si is not a difficult feat. Qi Ming coldly regarded Lin Feng, musing that had it not been for his insult towards the Qin Yun sect, she would not have revealed her strength. Upon hearing this, the sacred son's face burned with an inexplicable heat. Many disciples cast furtive glances in his direction, the implications clear. At this moment, Everyone understood that the sacred daughter's previous concession was not due to inferiority to the sacred son, but rather a disdain for competition. Otherwise, who could withstand her 6th level of the Qi Si cultivation? Boom. The 6th level of the Qi Si is merely that. The disparity in realms is insurmountable. Lin Feng shook his right arm, sending ice shards flying as his limb regained its freedom. Lin Feng was now serious, facing an opponent only one minor realm below him. He dared not be careless. Kirin fist, Lin Feng shouted, his right arm suddenly swelling with explosive power, instilling fear in all who beheld it. This was the first time he had publicly employed his martial skill, a testament to his determined resolve for victory in this battle. Boom. An incredibly terrifying fist shadow appeared at Lin Feng's right side, then hurtled towards Qi Ming, shaking the very void around them. Frozen. A delicate shout rang out as Qi Ming ascended into the air, enveloped by a suffocating cold light that shot directly towards the fist shadow. When the cold light struck the Kirin fist, the fist shadow was immediately encased in frost, its movements becoming sluggish. Do you think you can trap me? Lin Feng's brows knitted fiercely as he clenched his right fist. The concentrated energy surged with even greater ferocity, shattering the ice that enveloped the Kirin fist. Break! With a thunderous roar, Lin Feng unleashed an unparalleled force that shattered the frost upon the arena in an instant. As the Qilin fist was poised to strike Qi Ming, an air of urgency enveloped the onlookers. Ice shield. Qi Ming formed a seal with her hands, summoning a multitude of icy shards that coalesced into a massive ice barrier. Boom. The Qilin fist collided with the ice shield, unleashing a terrifying shockwave that surged around them. At that moment, a clear sound rang out, causing Qi Ming's expression to change dramatically. Crack! Lin Feng's overwhelming power was too formidable. The ice shield began to crumble under the relentless assault. Rumbling. The ice shield exploded into fragments, propelling Qi Ming downward like a cannonball. Not good. Qin Yun growled, his face paling not merely because Qi Ming was sent flying, but because he witnessed a shard of ice hurtling towards her fallen position at an alarming speed. This shard had erupted from the shattered ice shield. Whether by design or coincidence, the ice shard was now aimed directly at Qi Ming. The shard, unwavering in its trajectory, left Qi Ming, who sat on the ground, pale with dread. Should it strike her, she would either perish or sustain grave injuries. Qin Yun raced towards her at full speed. Yet he knew it would be too late. Ling Er, no? A frantic shout echoed from another direction, laced with terror. In that very moment, a petite figure dashed forth from behind Qi Ming, positioning herself in front of her. It was Ling Er, who had been watching from the sidelines. The ice shard afforded no time for deliberation, lunging fiercely towards Ling Er, who raised her sword in a desperate attempt to block the impending strike. Yet, she grossly underestimated the shard's force. Bang! The sword in her grasp shattered. With a swift motion, the ice shard pierced through Ling Er's left arm, unleashing a spray of crimson, narrowly missing a vital spot, but sending her hurtling several meters away. Boom! Just then, a cataclysmic aura surged from a distance. You seek death. Feng Han was utterly incensed, witnessing his beloved daughter injured. He could no longer contain himself, and a murderous intent locked onto Ling Feng. Ling Feng's expression shifted drastically. Feeling the murderous intent envelop him was akin to being trapped in an icy abyss. Feng Han was a renowned Thunder Tribulation Realm master, capable of extinguishing him with the same ease as crushing an ant. Chapter 8. Defeating the enemy in one move, severing an arm to survive. I apologize. My actions inadvertently harmed your esteemed daughter. Please forgive me, Ling Feng hastily expressed, fully aware of the trouble he had caused. I take my leave, my sincerest apologies. Cold sweat dripped from Ling Feng's forehead as he spoke, swiftly retreating towards the outskirts of Qin Yun's sect, fearful that Feng Han, in his fury, would execute him on the spot. Just as Feng Han prepared to strike, Qin Yun materialized beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Old 7, let it go. Tend to Ling Er first. Slaying this individual may ignite a conflict with the Seven Treasure sect. He harbored a profound desire to eliminate Ling Feng directly. However, given that the Qin Yun sect was at a pivotal juncture, instigating a sectarian conflict would be exceedingly detrimental to their interests. Feng Han clenched his fists, exhaling a heavy sigh as he reined in his aura, casting a lingering glance at Ling Feng's fleeing figure. Approximately 600 miles from the Qin Yun sect, by a tranquil lake, a man clad in black sat cross-legged. That old wretch is truly formidable. I must hasten my breakthrough to the Thunder Tribulation Realm. Then, I shall seek an opportunity to annihilate this Qin Yun sect. This was none other than Ling Feng, who had just fled in disarray from the Qin Yun sect. At that moment, the birds in the nearby woods took flight, seemingly startled by an unseen terror. This scene caused Ling Feng's expression to shift. Could it be that old fellow has tracked me down to this very spot? If Feng Han were indeed to pursue him here, he would be in grave peril. Ah, so you have made it easy for me to locate you. A cold snicker echoed from above, sending a jolt of alarm through Ling Feng as he hastily looked up. A figure had materialized atop a towering tree, displaying astonishing speed. Who is it? Ling Feng sprang to his feet, eyeing the shadowy silhouette on the tree with wariness. Upon discerning the identity of the individual, his brow furrowed. The newcomer had employed some arcane technique, cloaking his face in a veil of grayish mist, rendering his true appearance indiscernible. Save for the garb of an ordinary disciple of the Qingyun sect, the figure was Yan Bei, who, despite not yet being particularly powerful, chose to conceal his true identity by manipulating his chaotic essence to shroud his visage in obscurity, preventing Ling Feng from discerning his true form. An ordinary disciple of the Qingyun sect? Ling Feng was taken aback. It was not Feng Han who had pursued him, but a mere disciple clad in the sect's attire. There was no need for him to feel fear. Yan Bei stood atop the treetop, arms crossed behind him, his gaze icy as it bore into Ling Feng. A tremendous and oppressive aura erupted from him, causing the surrounding beasts to scatter in terror. Self-mutilate an arm, and I shall spare your life, Yan Bei proclaimed. His presence exuding an unparalleled force. Ling Feng felt the overwhelming pressure emanating from this individual, his pupils constricting in shock. How formidable. Although he could not ascertain Yan Bei's exact realm, he sensed that this individual had not yet attained the Thunder Tribulation realm. Yet even so, the pressure he exerted was immensely powerful. This was the first time Ling Feng had encountered such a formidable opponent within the Qi realm. An ordinary disciple dares to confront me alone? I return your words, sever an arm, and I shall grant you mercy. Ling Yun retorted with a mocking laugh. Although he recognized the strength of the individual before him, he felt no fear. In his eyes, those of the Qingyun sect were merely useless. Despite being unable to see Yan Bei's face, he could perceive that this mysterious figure was exceedingly youthful, which diminished his trepidation somewhat. He was confident that as long as no formidable Thunder Tribulation experts intervened, he could escape unscathed. Then let it be death. Upon encountering this obstinate individual once more, Yan Bei chose not to engage in idle chatter. In a mere blink, he vanished from sight. Without any unnecessary gestures, Yan Bei extended a single finger. Boom. A colossal finger, formed from the convergence of ethereal energy, materialized before him, surging forth with unmatched force to suppress Ling Feng. Ling Feng, sensing the terrifying power encapsulated within that finger, underwent a dramatic change in expression. He had not anticipated that this individual possessed such formidable strength. Were it not for the fact that his opponent had yet to reach the Thunder Tribulation realm, he would have fled without hesitation. Iron Fist. Ling Feng, unwilling to back down, opted for a direct confrontation, a gesture of respect towards a powerful adversary. Yet, the very fist that had grievously wounded Qi Ming shattered beneath the weight of that enormous finger, as fragile as paper. Boom. Ling Feng was forcefully brought to his knees, his face a portrait of horror. He had been unable to withstand even a single finger of his opponent. He raised his gaze to the figure before him. Adorned in the simple garb of a common disciple from the Qingyun sect, the visage shrouded in a haze of chaos, and his heart sank in disbelief. He had considered himself one of the elite talents within the Qi realm, yet he found himself utterly defeated by this enigmatic man, who shared the same level of cultivation, with a mere single move. How could this be? I have been bested. Kneeling on the ground, Ling Feng clenched his fists in frustration, his expression a mix of disbelief and shock as he regarded the figure before him. He had not even managed to withstand a casual gesture from his opponent. The incredulity etched across Ling Feng's face was palpable. This was terrifying. This man was so overwhelmingly powerful that it left him breathless. Nothing is impossible. I shall reiterate, sever your own arm, or else. Yan Bei stood steadfast, his dark hair dancing in the wind, and the gray mist on his face imparted an air of enigma. This individual had harmed his junior sister, and initially, he had intended to eliminate him outright. However, during his pursuit, he reconsidered. Should he slay Ling Feng now, the Seven Treasures sect would undoubtedly seek retribution. Although they might not ascertain the exact assailant, they would surely attribute the grievance to the Qingyun sect. Such a conflict would inevitably escalate into a sect war. Hey, congratulations to the host for successfully signing in. Reward, Thunder Calamity Liquid. Yan Bei skillfully spread his palm, and a small white jade vial materialized in his hand. Thunder Calamity Liquid? A smile of pure delight graced Yan Bei's lips, for this was precisely what he lacked the most at this moment. The Thunder Calamity Liquid, refined from celestial lightning, is a spiritual essence that aids practitioners at the Qi realm in smoothly transcending to the Thunder Calamity realm. Now at the pinnacle of the Qi realm, Yan Bei found himself in dire need of this substance. Without hesitation, Yan Bei uncorked the vial and began to drink deeply, showing no restraint whatsoever. To fully harness the efficacy of the Thunder Calamity liquid, it ideally should be combined with several medicinal herbs. One could only imagine the shock of onlookers witnessing his extravagant consumption. Moments later, as the Thunder Calamity liquid coursed through him, Yin Bei's aura began to surge. His expression shifted slightly, and he quickly activated the Tianyin convergence technique. Unwilling to let his unexpected fortune be revealed at such a critical juncture of breakthrough, the sky above Qilong Mountain appeared to have burst open, with an overwhelming torrent of spiritual energy cascading down upon him like a mighty flood. Boom. At that moment, with the assistance of the Thunder Calamity liquid, he finally broke through to the Thunder Calamity realm. Henceforth, Yin Bei had officially joined the ranks of the powerful, becoming a formidable practitioner of the Thunder Calamity realm. Though the winds howled and spiritual energy raged within Qilong Mountain, the outside world remained blissfully unaware. Even Qiyun was oblivious to the fact that a new Thunder Calamity realm powerhouse had quietly emerged within his sect. What a powerful sensation. It felt exponentially stronger than before. Now, even Ling Feng would struggle to withstand my aura. Yin Bei reveled in the astonishing transformations within his body, a broad smile illuminating his face. He then resumed his leisurely existence, returning to the cave to indulge in slumber once more. Meanwhile, outside Qilong Mountain, a tempest was brewing. In the assembly hall of Qiyun's sect, a gathering of elders convened. Second elder, is what you speak of truly accurate? Qiyun inquired, his brow furrowed, addressing an elderly man with graying hair. Indeed, sect master. This was relayed directly from Ling Feng himself. He was defeated by an ordinary disciple of Qiyun's sect. With his severed arm as proof, the second elder responded solemnly to those present. Ling Feng was defeated. This news swept through the southern regions of the eastern domain like a tempest. The Seven Treasures sect, known for its rare talent, saw its Qi realm 7th layer genius Ling Feng vanquished by an ordinary disciple of Qiyun's sect. Naturally, many were incredulous at first. However, Ling Feng had publicly claimed that Qiyun's sect was secretly nurturing an extraordinary genius, someone so formidable that he had been defeated with a single strike. In an act of desperation to survive, he had resorted to severing his own arm. Initially, many skeptics were silenced upon witnessing Ling Feng's severed arm. Surely there was no need to self-mutilate merely to tarnish Qiyun's sect's reputation. This ignited a wave of suspicion among many. Could it be that Qiyun's sect had indeed cultivated an unparalleled prodigy in secret? This thought stirred a sense of caution among various sections. At the time of the grand competition, was there any disciple absent from the sect? Qingyun furrowed his brow, pondering whether there truly existed an unparalleled genius within the sect. During the competition, all disciples were present, with not a single one missing, as reported by the steward. Upon hearing this, Qingyun nodded slightly, having anticipated such a scenario. After all, how could an extraordinary talent capable of defeating Ling Feng possibly emerge from Qingyun's sect? Feng Han opened his mouth, intending to mention that Yin Bei was not present. Yet the words caught in his throat. Yin Bei had been imprisoned in Qilong Mountain when he had only reached the 5th level of Qi refinement, making it implausible that he was involved in this matter. Old 7, do you have something to say? Qingyun keenly observed Feng Han's actions and inquired. Bang! Master, Ling Feng is clearly framing us. Feng Han exclaimed, shattering the chair beneath him in a fit of rage as he stood up, still refraining from mentioning Yin Bei. He believed that Ling Feng was maliciously scheming, thrusting Qingyun's sect into the limelight for reasons unknown. I too believe this fellow harbors ill intentions. The crowd echoed, sharing their disdain for Ling Feng. Given the current predicament, there was no choice but to proceed cautiously, one step at a time. Qingyun sighed softly, aware that the sect had already aroused the vigilance of other forces, potentially inviting significant trouble. The elders remained silent, each letting out a deep sigh. If, as Ling Feng claimed, the unparalleled genius truly hailed from their sect, how fortunate that would be. Alas, it was merely a ruse. Qilong Mountain. Yin Bei sat cross-legged, perhaps out of sheer boredom. He astonishingly began to cultivate. Countless strands of spiritual energy swirled through the air, converging towards Yin Bei. The advantages of his chaotic physique manifested at this moment, as he could wield any elemental power in existence. Suddenly, sensing something, he halted his cultivation and rose to his feet. At that instant, a thunderous sound erupted, accompanied by an overwhelming aura, drawing closer to his location. Swift as the wind, striking like thunder, this was the hallmark of the Thunder Tribulation realm. A powerful cultivator was approaching him. Disciple, a resonant voice echoed from outside Qilong Mountain, and in an instant, a figure akin to a bolt of lightning descended before Yin Bei. Gazing upon the middle-aged man clad in a purple robe, Yin Bei was momentarily taken aback, then clasped his hands in respect. Master. This was none other than Feng Han, Yin Bei's mentor in Qingyun's sect, a formidable Thunder Tribulation realm expert. You have suffered greatly recently. Feng Han approached and gently patted Yin Bei's shoulder, his expression filled with remorse. Linger had informed him of the true reason behind Yinbei's imprisonment in Qiulong Mountain. His daughter's capriciousness had caused Yinbei much distress. Thank you, Master, for your concern. This place is indeed peaceful, perfect for self-cultivation. Yinbei quickly led Feng Han into a cave, offering him a worn stone stool to sit upon. He had been raised by Feng Han since childhood and held immense respect for him. Feng Han treated him with utmost kindness, like a true father. Feng Han gazed upon the exceedingly rudimentary scene within the cave, his heart tightening with a pang of sorrow. Yinbei was a child he had nurtured since infancy. And now, witnessing his beloved child enduring such harsh conditions, he felt an even greater sense of guilt. Chapter 10. Master, the conflict now that my master has arrived. No one shall imprison you here any longer, Yinner. Come, follow me down the mountain. Upon seeing the cave in which Yinbei resided, Feng Han's emotions became tumultuous. With a sweeping gesture of his hand, the sky above rumbled ominously. Hearing his childhood name, Yinbei's lips twitched involuntarily. Yinner sounded far too much like a feminine name. However, Master Feng Han's commanding presence left Yinbei astonished. He had not anticipated such assertiveness from his master, who was determined to take him down the mountain. Yet at that moment, Yinbei had no desire to leave. The prison Dragon Mountain was, in fact, his sacred ground for cultivation. Exiting this place would expose him to potential discovery, especially with his chaotic celestial body that would inevitably attract attention. It was far better to remain hidden and cultivate in secrecy. Before Yinbei could voice his thoughts, a voice filled with indignation echoed from outside prison Dragon Mountain. Elder Feng, your actions are most inappropriate. A young man clad in a black robe approached leisurely, hands clasped behind his back. Flanked by two formidable figures exuding powerful auras, both were high-tier experts of the Qi realm. Such a terrifying entourage was not commonplace. Oh, Prince Saint, what brings you to prison Dragon Mountain today for a respite? Feng Han's expression darkened, realizing that the visitor bore ill intentions, likely concerning Yinbei. Within the Qingyun sect, it was no secret that the prince held a clandestine infatuation for the saintess. The previous incident, where Yinbei had inadvertently intruded upon the saintess's bathing area, had incited the prince's wrath upon learning of it. He had sought to eliminate Yinbei on the spot, but Feng Han's influence had deterred such rashness. Even while Feng Han was in seclusion, the sect's higher-ups dared not recklessly handle his disciple, for the fury of the old master was not something ordinary individuals could withstand. Yinbei was personally ordered to be imprisoned by the sect leader. Elder Feng, how can you take him away without permission? The prince's face was a mask of dark fury. His loathing for Yinbei was profound. Ever since that incident, he had been the subject of whispered remarks among the disciples, which was a source of great embarrassment for him. Rumors had circulated that he, a prince of the sect, had been cuckolded by an ordinary disciple, igniting his rage. Upon receiving word of Elder Feng's visit to prison Dragon Mountain, he had surmised that Feng Han was there for Yinbei. If Feng Han succeeded in taking Yinbei away, who among the elders would dare obstruct a Thunder Tribulation Realm elder? Thus, he had hastened to this place, and indeed, he arrived just in time to hear Feng Han's intention to escort Yinbei out, a proposition he could not accept. He wished for Yinbei to suffer eternal torment in this place, planning to return when his cultivation surpassed that of Feng Han, or when he took control of the Qingyun sect to enact his vengeance. Now, he intended to use the sect leader's authority to suppress Feng Han, ensuring the elder would not act recklessly. Hearing this, Yinbei nodded fervently. Indeed, Master, how can you unilaterally decide to release me? I shall elucidate matters with the Lord, and it is not for the Holy Son to concern himself. Feng Han, with a disdainful snort, paid no heed to the situation. However, the Holy Son clearly underestimated him, for Feng Han was impervious to such tactics. The expression of the Qingyun Holy Son shifted dramatically. He did not anticipate this old fellow would disregard the sect's regulations. Feng Han turned to gaze at Yinbei, his eyes softening instantly. Yinbei was his sole disciple, and he had long since regarded him as a son. Now that his child faced injustice, as a senior, he could not stand idly by. Feng Han, this is Qingyun sect. You are aware of the consequences of violating the sect's rules. The Qingyun Holy Son clenched his fists, veins bulging on his forehead. This old man was as obstinate as a stubborn stone, leaving him at a loss for how to proceed. Fear not, Holy Son, Yinner, we shall depart. Yet Feng Han, undeterred by the Holy Son's threats, grasped Yinbei's arm and strode towards the exit. Yinbei felt a surge of helplessness. How could his master be even more stubborn than himself? Standing in front, Feng Han was oblivious to the despondency etched upon Yinbei's face. Had he seen it, he would have been at a loss for words. Truth be told, he did not wish to leave the prison Dragon Mountain. How delightful it was to sign in daily. The allure of the outside world was captivating, and Yinbei was uncertain if he could maintain his resolve once he stepped beyond. The expression of the Qingyun Holy Son shifted subtly. He did not expect Feng Han to be so unyielding, willing to defy the sect's orders to take Yanbei away. Is Elder Feng truly intent on acting independently? The Qingyun Holy Son spoke in a deep tone, as the two advanced practitioners behind him unleashed their auras, blocking the path of the two. Stand aside. Feng Han's purple robe began to flutter, his gaze piercing, exuding an overwhelming sense of pressure that forced the two advanced practitioners to retreat. Since the Elder has chosen to defy the sect's regulations, I, the Holy Son, cannot simply stand by and watch. The Qingyun Holy Son's expression darkened as he positioned himself directly in front of Feng Han. Feng Han's demeanor turned icy. He did not expect the Holy Son would dare to obstruct his path. Fixing his gaze upon the Qingyun Holy Son, Feng Han's eyes carried the terrifying might of the Thunder Tribulation realm. The Holy Son's countenance paled, cold sweat trickling down his forehead. He sensed a faint murderous intent emanating from the old man. He realized that the other harbored intentions to slay him. A tremor coursed through the Holy Son's heart. Yet he found himself in a precarious position. Retreating now would mean losing control over Feng Han in the future, and upheaval would ensue within the Qingyun sect. At this moment, Feng Han wrestled with his own thoughts, pondering how to dismiss the Holy Son. As for the murderous intent, it was merely a ploy to intimidate. After all, the Holy Son was no ordinary figure. Should he kill him, the repercussions would be monumental. Just then, a melodious and ethereal voice rang out, accompanied by a gentle breeze, as a graceful figure appeared on the scene, clad in garments whiter than snow, with flowing black hair dancing in the wind, and eyes sparkling like stars. It was none other than the Holy Maiden of Qingyun sect, Qi Ming. Elder Feng, Holy Son, you must cease this at once. At this moment, Qi Ming appeared somewhat anxious as she hurriedly stepped between the two, separating them. Qi Ming, why are you here instead of tending to your injuries? Upon seeing Qi Ming's arrival, the Holy Son of Qingyun immediately displayed a flattering expression. Meanwhile, Feng Han remained silent, though the terrifying aura he once exuded had dissipated into thin air. Chapter 11. Cultivation. Elevated with the arrival of the Holy Maiden of Qingyun, the matter could be resolved, and Feng Han did not wish to escalate tensions. He had his own methods to address the situation with the sect leader. If I had not come, I fear that the prison Dragon Mountain would have been turned upside down by you too, Qi Ming remarked, casting a disapproving glance at the Qingyun Holy Son. She was utterly indifferent to his flattery, finding him somewhat deranged for seeking death in such a manner. Who was Elder Feng Han? In his youth, he was a formidable figure throughout the entire southern region. This young upstart, relying on his status as the Holy Son, dared to challenge Feng Han. Was that not akin to courting death? Uncle Feng, I sincerely apologize. This matter arose because of me, and I feel guilty for involving you, Qi Ming said, giving a slight bow to Feng Han, her tone brimming with remorse, devoid of the usual haughtiness associated with a holy maiden. Feng Han's expression softened considerably upon witnessing Qi Ming's sincerity, and he had no words for the current holy maiden. As for the Holy Son, he silently shook his head in disapproval. Your Highness, the holy maiden need not blame herself. Ultimately, it is I who have disrupted the sect's regulations, Feng Han replied, waving his hand and letting out a soft sigh. This matter began with me, and thus it should also conclude with me. Regarding the misunderstanding with Yanbei, I wish to clarify today that I have never held him accountable. Should anyone dare to trouble him over this, they would be crossing paths with me. The Holy Maiden of Qingyun. Qi Ming spoke with an air of authority, stealing a glance at the Qingyun Holy Son, which instantly darkened his expression. Was that not a clear message directed at the Holy Son? In truth, after Qi Ming had knocked Yanbei unconscious with a single strike, she had departed. And Yanbei's subsequent imprisonment at Prison Dragon Mountain was entirely the work of the Holy Son, who sought revenge against him. As for my father, I shall explain the situation. Uncle Feng need not worry. Yanbei is free to leave Prison Dragon Mountain now, Qi Ming continued, turning back to Feng Han. Upon hearing this, Feng Han's expression softened, and he quickly clasped his fists together, a relieved smile gracing his face. In that case, I extend my gratitude to your Highness. Had he forcibly taken Yanbei away today, it would have undoubtedly provoked the sect's authority. Although he would not face severe punishment, it would have left everyone involved in an awkward position. The Holy Maiden's intervention had undoubtedly alleviated Feng Han's predicament. Feng Han cast a reproachful glance at Yanbei, feeling a mix of disappointment and exasperation. Thank you, Your Highness, Yanbei quickly responded, harboring a favorable impression of the Holy Maiden. After all, had it been anyone else who tarnished his reputation, he would not have let it go easily. Qi Ming nodded, her gaze lingering on Yanbei, revealing a hint of complexity in her expression. Uncle Feng, this is the sect's gathering elixir. I am grateful to Linger for shielding me from that attack. Otherwise, my fate would have been uncertain. Qi Ming retrieved a pill from her spatial ring and handed it to Feng Han. It was a gathering chi pill, a rare elixir that could aid chi refinement practitioners in breaking through to the sea of chi realm. Even within the entire Qingyun sect, only a handful existed, and acquiring one would require considerable effort on Feng Han's part. The holy maiden is too gracious, Feng Han said with a broad smile, ultimately accepting the pill, recognizing its significance for Linger at this juncture. Now that this matter is settled, I shall take my leave, Qiming declared, and with a graceful farewell, she vanished like a fleeting shadow. Upon witnessing her departure, the Qingyun Saint Sun snorted coldly and left with two subordinates, casting a lingering, menacing glance at Yanbei. His murderous intent unmistakable. Given Qiming's words, he felt it inappropriate to intervene further at this moment. After everyone had departed, Feng Han entered the cave. Yenner, gather your belongings. We shall descend the mountain. As they prepared to leave, Yanbei felt compelled to express his thoughts to his master, not wishing to sneak back here daily. Master, I do not wish to descend the mountain, Yanbei said after a moment of contemplation. Feng Han was taken aback, looking at Yanbei with a perplexed expression. Is this lad unwell? The environment of Prison Dragon Mountain is so harsh, and he does not wish to leave? Perhaps the sect leader's words had struck a chord. Do you fear retaliation from the Saint Sun? Feng Han gazed at Yanbei with a hint of disappointment, considering a possibility. Feng Han recalled how the Qingyun Saint Sun had glared at Yanbei with evident malice as he departed, leading him to believe that Yanbei feared potential retribution. The path of cultivation is inherently contrary to nature, and a practitioner must never harbor fear, for such individuals seldom achieve greatness. Thus, Feng Han felt a flicker of disappointment toward Yanbei. Master, though the environment of Prison Dragon Mountain is harsh, it can temper one's character and is quite suitable for my cultivation. Yanbei replied calmly, shaking his head. Cultivation? Since acquiring the sign-in system, he had only practiced once, leading a rather idle existence. Nonsense. Prison Dragon Mountain is no place for one of your meager cultivation level, Feng Han exclaimed, his expression turning fierce as he glared at Yanbei. To cultivate here? The mountain is perpetually shrouded in cold air. Without the sea of qi cultivation, one cannot withstand this frigid atmosphere for long without suffering grave consequences. This was precisely why Feng Han was eager to bring Yanbei down the mountain. After all, Yanbei had only been at the 5th level of qi refinement when imprisoned in Prison Dragon Mountain. How could he endure the cold? By the way, it has been a month since I last assessed your cultivation level. What realm have you reached now? Feng Han inquired solemnly, turning away. If this boy had made no progress in a month, then his claims of cultivating here would be sheer folly. Since Yanbei began practicing the heavenly transformation concealment technique, others could not discern his exact cultivation level, not even Feng Han, who stood so close. Disciple has reached the peak of the 9th level of qi refinement. Yanbei hesitated briefly before suppressing his cultivation to the pinnacle of the 9th level. He refrained from revealing that he had already broken through to the Thunder Tribulation realm, as it was simply too astonishing. Upon realizing the situation, Feng Han was undoubtedly inundated with questions, while Yanbei found himself at a loss for explanations. It was indeed curious that Feng Han remained preoccupied with why Yanbei wished to stay on Prison Dragon Mountain, even as he casually replied to a few inquiries. However, suddenly, Feng Han's expression stiffened as if he had come to a realization. What? You say you've reached what realm? Feng Han inquired incredulously, fixing a disbelieving gaze upon Yanbei. Peak of qi refinement, 9th level, Yanbei stated, a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. Observing his master's expression, he understood that he had inadvertently revealed his elevated cultivation. Had he known, he would have chosen to remain more discreet. Chapter 12, Blood Spirit Sect Peak of Qi Refinement. 9th level? How is that possible? Do not deceive me. Feng Han could scarcely believe that Yanbei had advanced to the pinnacle of qi refinement in just a month. Boom. Yanbei ceased to conceal his aura, allowing the might of his qi refinement, 9th level, to manifest fully. At this, Feng Han stood rooted in place, genuinely astonished that Yanbei had indeed reached the peak of qi refinement. What kind of miraculous elixir have you consumed to achieve such rapid progress? Feng Han furrowed his brow, aware that hastening one's growth was not a wise endeavor. He promptly placed a hand on Yanbei's shoulder, channeling a gentle stream of spiritual energy into him. After a moment, Feng Han displayed a peculiar expression. Upon investigation, he discovered that Yanbei's cultivation was remarkably solid, devoid of any signs of hastened development, indicating that he had not ingested any potion capable of such swift enhancement. Could it be that this lad had truly cultivated step by step? Master, it is merely the 9th level of qi refinement. Is it truly so astonishing? Yanbei replied with exasperation, relieved he had not revealed his Thunder Tribulation realm cultivation, lest his master be utterly shocked. Now it was Feng Han who was at a loss for words. Was reaching the 9th level of qi refinement truly worthy of such amazement? If the disciples of Qingyun sect were to hear this, they would likely be incensed. You young rascal. Feng Han's demeanor softened, and at that moment, he comprehended that Yin Bei's claims of cultivating here were indeed truthful. He had not misled him, breaking through multiple realms in a month. He had not anticipated that his disciple was, in fact, a prodigy. Yin heir, do you truly not wish to descend the mountain? Feng Han inquired once more. Master, this place is my sacred ground for cultivation, and I wish to remain here a while longer. When the time comes for me to descend, I shall do so. Yin Bei replied with a smile, having finally settled the matter. This way, he could stay on Prison Dragon Mountain daily without any disturbances. Very well. On the path of cultivation, each individual has their own journey. I shall not interfere further. Feng Han contemplated briefly before patting Yin Bei's shoulder and choosing not to elaborate. The master and disciple continued their conversation in the cave for a while longer. Shortly thereafter, Feng Han took his leave, but not before handing Yin Bei the gathering qi pill entrusted to him by Qi Ming. At the edge of the cliff, Yin Bei held the pill in his hand, still radiating a faint warmth, his heart a tumult of emotions. Though this gathering qi pill was no longer of use to him, it held great significance for Ling Er. It was remarkable that Feng Han chose to bestow it upon him rather than keeping it for his own daughter. He could sense that Feng Han regarded him as his own flesh and blood, which inevitably stirred a warm current within his heart. Rest assured, master, as long as I, Yin Bei, am alive, I shall certainly protect you and Ling. Yin Bei murmured to himself, his gaze deeply fixed on the direction in which Feng Han had departed. In this moment, he fully embraced the emotions tied to this otherworldly realm, not merely due to the vessel he inhabited, but because of his own essence. Time swiftly passed. A month later. Congratulations, host, for successfully signing in. Reward, 100 years of cultivation. Absorb. Yin Bei stood amidst the clouds atop Qiulong Mountain, his aura steadily ascending. Moments later, that surging aura finally stabilized. The system interface opened. Yin Bei had become quite adept at navigating the summoning system. Host. Yin Bei. Cultivation level, 7th layer of Thunder Tribulation Realm. Abilities, Celestial Transformation Concealment Technique, Heavenly Finger Technique, Spatial Divine Eye. Ghostly Shadow Disguise, Sign-in count, 40 times. At this moment, Yin Bei hovered in the clouds, a smile gracing his lips as he observed the diligent disciples practicing below. He had not activated the Celestial Transformation Concealment Technique, yet no one in the sect detected his presence, for the sect leader of Qin Yun was absent, reportedly venturing to some ruins in search of opportunities. Unbeknownst to him, he had already spent over a month in this world. Yin Bei shook his head with a sigh, his figure flickering back to the cave to resume his idle existence. Meanwhile, several hooded figures in black robes appeared several dozen miles from Qin Yun's sect. Captain, it has been confirmed that Qin Yun has taken a Thunder Tribulation expert to the Red Sea ruins. One of the black-clad individuals glared intensely at the distant Qin Yun sect, a potent aura of murderous intent radiating from him. Who provided you with this information? Inquired another burly masked figure in a deep voice. The informant leaned closer and whispered into his ear. Oh, if that is the case, it is indeed a fortuitous opportunity. I did not expect you to be betrayed by your own kind. With Qin Yun absent from the sect, I wonder who will come to your rescue. The masked figure responded with a sinister smile. For the Blood Spirit sect's vengeance, Feng Han, you cannot escape. As soon as the words left his lips, the masked man, along with the other black-robed figures, vanished from sight. That night, the moonlight blanketed Qin Yun's sect like a layer of white frost. Swish, swish, swish. Several indistinct figures glided through the skies above Qin Yun's sect like phantoms, the protective barrier of the sect seemingly ineffectual against their passage. A young man clad in black stood at the corner of Qin Yun's sect, a smile curling at the corners of his mouth as he watched the fleeting silhouettes. Feng Shui Hall. This was the abode of Feng Han. At this moment, Feng Han was instructing Ling Er in her cultivation within the courtyard. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something, his brow furrowing. Ling Er, quickly return to your room. No matter what transpires, do not make a sound. Your father has guests. Feng Han's expression darkened as he spoke to Ling Er. Before she could grasp the meaning behind her father's words, she was already ushered back to her chamber. At that very instant, bang! A deafening sound reverberated from the grand entrance of the Hall of Wind and Snow. Wind Han, you have kept us waiting for an eternity. 5 figures clad in black suddenly materialized near Wind Han, their formidable auras completely locking onto him. Among them, 2 were powerful beings at the Thunder Tribulation Realm, while the remaining 3 had reached the pinnacle of the Qi realm. Who are you? Wind Han inquired with a grave tone, his heart racing as an ominous premonition gripped him. You are indeed forgetful, the leader of the masked figures sneered, discarding his veil to reveal a long, jagged scar that marred his face, making him appear frightfully menacing. Wind Han's pupils constricted in shock. It is you, the remnants of the Blood Spirit sect. 20 years prior, in a small town 500 miles from this location. A vile faction known as the Blood Spirit sect wreaked havoc, committing unspeakable atrocities. During one of their heinous acts, a disciple of the Blood Spirit sect was slaughtering defenseless civilians when he crossed paths with a young Wind Han, who had always championed justice. Without hesitation, Wind Han intervened, slaying several disciples on the spot. Just as he prepared to depart, he inadvertently attracted the ire of numerous masters from the Blood Spirit sect. At that time, Wind Han had reached the 8th level of the Chi-Si realm and felt no fear as he battled the Blood Spirit sect for an entire day and night. Ultimately, in a fit of fury, he obliterated the entire sect. Do you remember now? The scarred leader chuckled coldly. He had once been the sect master of the Blood Spirit sect. Even after 20 years and having ascended to the Thunder Tribulation realm, the hatred in his heart had never waned. The massacre Wind Han had wrought left only 5 brothers alive, who had vowed to seek vengeance one day. However, with Wind Han's affiliation to the Qingyun sect, led by a formidable master of the Thunder Tribulation realm, they had never dared to approach. Now, having learned that Qingyun had dispatched an elder of the Thunder Tribulation realm to the Red Sea ruins, they had seized the opportunity to strike at Wind Han while he was vulnerable. I am curious how you managed to arrive here so stealthily, Wind Han remarked, eyeing the intact sect formation in the sky with a serious expression. The fact that these intruders could infiltrate the Qingyun sect undetected filled him with suspicion. That is of no concern to you. Prepare to pay for the lives of my deceased kin, the scarred man bellowed, unleashing an aura of terrifying malice. The black-clad figures behind him transformed into mere shadows, swiftly encircling Wind Han. As he surveyed his encircled position, Wind Han's expression darkened. I was able to eliminate you fiends who plagued the world in the past, and I can do so again today. With a thunderous roar, a formidable aura erupted from Wind Han, the overwhelming force repelling 3 of the Chi-Si realm warriors before revealing his own mastery at the 4th level of the Thunder Tribulation realm. Come. At this moment, Feng Han exuded an aura of terrifying murderous intent, locking onto several individuals in an instant. His form transformed into a fleeting shadow, vanishing from sight. Cold moon, Feng Han bellowed, as a radiant moon soared from his hand, propelled by an astonishing force. Faced with such an onslaught, Feng Han understood that he could not afford to be passive. He must strike first with overwhelming might to vanquish his adversaries. The expression of the peak Chi-Si realm expert, targeted by the cold moon, shifted dramatically. This technique could instantly claim his life. Blood Spirit. At that moment, the scarred man, unwilling to watch his comrade perish, unleashed a crimson phantom that erupted from his body. Whoosh! A cold gleam flashed, and the Blood Spirit emitted a piercing scream before being slain on the spot. Yet it managed to shield the Chi-Si realm expert from the lethal strike. 4th layer of Thunder Tribulation. It seems you've made considerable progress over the years. However, we are well prepared. The scarred man, sensing the formidable energy radiating from Feng Han, remarked with a chilling smirk, though he was merely at the 2nd layer of Thunder Tribulation, making him no match for Feng Han. Their extensive preparations had allowed them to venture here without trepidation. Blood Kill Formation. The scarred man roared, summoning dozens of blood-red phantoms from within him, with the others following suit. In an instant, the courtyard became suffused with blood spirits, emanating overwhelming sanguine energy. Activate. The scarred man produced a talisman, infusing it with spiritual power, causing the multitude of blood spirits to exude a sinister aura that intertwined, forming a singular entity. At that moment, the strength of the scarred man and his companions could be shared with these blood spirits. Any attack on one would instantly transfer power to the others, including the blood spirits. Such a vile formation. You have pledged yourselves to the Blood God sect. Feng Han's countenance paled. He had initially been confident in facing 5 opponents alone, but the emergence of the Blood Kill Formation plunged his heart into despair. The Blood Kill Formation was an exceedingly malicious array, where each blood spirit was, in truth, a living being, merely refined into this grotesque form. Indeed, had it not been for the sect's nurturing, how could I have had the opportunity for revenge? Blood spirits, kill. The scarred man cackled maniacally. For now, Feng Han was ensnared by the blood spirits, rendering escape impossible. Feng Han's right fist gathered an overwhelming force and struck towards a blood spirit. The blood spirit raised its fist to confront Feng Han's blow head-on. When his fist connected with the blood spirit, the multitude of blood spirits erupted in a crimson radiance. Boom! Feng Han was sent flying by the impact. Spitting blood, he felt his energy waning. Father, Linger from within the house, could no longer contain herself and rushed out to support her father. What are you doing out here? Did I not instruct you to remain in your room? Feng Han's expression shifted dramatically upon seeing Linger emerge. TSK, Feng Han, I never anticipated your daughter to possess such enchanting beauty. Upon hearing those words, Feng Han was instantly consumed by rage. blood once again spilling from the corner of his mouth. The recent clash with Blood Spirit had left his internal organs grievously injured. At this moment, Linger's face turned ashen, tears streaming down her cheeks. Amidst such a commotion, why had no one come to their aid? She gazed at the empty road outside Feng Shui Hall, her heart growing cold. Feng Han's expression was heavy. The energy fluctuations from Feng Shui Hall should have been sensed by the elders of their sect, yet not a single soul had arrived to offer assistance. This was a matter worthy of contemplation, but he had no time for such thoughts now. Linger, you must leave quickly. I will hold them off. Feng Han's face hardened with resolve as he forcefully pushed Linger away, urging her to flee. Want to live? After my brothers have had their fun, I might consider taking you as a slave, sneered the scarred man, licking his crimson tongue. He certainly would not let such a beautiful woman escape, especially as she was the daughter of his enemy. He longed to claim her as a slave, to toy with her at will. Linger, when your father is not by your side, you and Yinner must take care of yourselves. Feng Han's gaze darkened as he cast a glance towards Prison Dragon Mountain, as if imparting his last wishes. He then pressed a finger to his forehead, his eyes suddenly turning a fiery red. Boom. In that instant, the power within Feng Han surged at a terrifying speed, swiftly breaking through his shackles to reach the 5th level of the Thunder Tribulation realm. Be careful. This old man is going to counterattack in his dying moments. He burning his soul. The scarred man's expression shifted drastically, becoming vigilant. The other masked figures quickly retreated several dozen meters, fearing a lethal counterstrike from Feng Han. Father, no. Linger let out a piercing scream, despair flooding her features as she witnessed this scene unfold. She was at a loss, watching her father burn his soul with no means to intervene. Go. Feng Han grasped Linger by the shoulders, his figure flickering as he vanished from the spot, intent on ensuring her escape. The scarred man and his companions would not allow this to happen. A blood spirit lunged towards Linger, while the others swiftly pursued her as well. How dare you? Feng Han unleashed a powerful punch, striking the blood spirit and sending it crashing to the ground, followed by several more blows that sent the others flying. Yet, in the next moment, a shriek pierced the air. One of the masked figures had seized Linger. Her body slipped from Feng Han's grasp, causing his countenance to change dramatically. Even if I burn my soul, with the blood-killing formation at play, you are no match for me. They laughed maniacally from the void. My beauty, once I dispatch this old fool, I shall lavish you with affection. The masked man's lascivious gaze was unabashed. At that moment, Linger appeared as pale as a sheet, trembling all over, her heart filled with boundless terror at the thought of what awaited her. The masked man extended his hand towards Linger's clothing, eager to witness the scene of her humiliation while Feng Han was still alive. Wretched beast, how dare you? At this moment, Feng Han appeared deranged, his eyes filled with a murderous intent as he charged toward the masked figure. However, a barrage of blood spirits swiftly obstructed his path, eliciting endless roars of fury from him. Little beauty, let us see who can save you now. Just as the masked man reached out to grasp Linger's garment, the sky suddenly quaked. A terrifying golden hand descended from above with astonishing speed, seizing the masked figure in its grip. Bang! With a violent squeeze, the masked man had no time to cry out before he was reduced to a mist of blood. Who dares? The chilling spectacle sent shivers down the spines of the scarred man's companions, their expressions filled with horror as they scanned their surroundings. At that moment, Feng Han ceased his bloodshed, his gaze fixed in shock upon the spot where Linger stood. A figure abruptly materialized in the void, unnoticed by anyone. As if he had been present all along, he stood silently in the air, motionless yet emanating an aura that instilled dread in all who beheld him. Enshrouded in a shroud of grayish-white mist, his face remained obscured, though his attire denoted that he was a common disciple of the Qingyun sect. Indeed, the newcomer was Yin Bei, who had just been roused from slumber. You are all doomed. Yin Bei's expression darkened as he surveyed the remaining 4 masked figures. Upon witnessing Feng Han's plight, a wave of despair washed over him. His master had ignited his divine soul. Had he not arrived in time, Linger would have suffered disgrace. These fiends must pay. He extended his hand, and the golden hand reappeared, striking the ground with immense force. Boom! A thunderous explosion reverberated, leaving a colossal imprint of a hand upon the earth, while the blood spirits disintegrated into nothingness beneath its might. The blood spirits that had posed insurmountable trouble for Feng Han could not withstand even a single blow from Yin Bei. Thank you, Senior. Feng Han bowed respectfully to Yin Bei, awed by the sheer power of that strike. He gazed at Yin Bei with confusion, unaware of the existence of such a formidable presence within the Qingyun sect. Yin Bei's voice echoed ethereally, rendering his identity unrecognizable to Feng Han. At that moment, the masked figures led by the scarred man simultaneously coughed up dark red blood. Although Yin Bei had obliterated the blood spirits, they had sustained injuries to their essence. Senior, We are members of the Blood God Sect's enforcement team. Please show us mercy and spare us. The scarred man fell to his knees, pleading with Yin Bei for clemency. This mysterious powerhouse was overwhelmingly terrifying, extinguishing any flicker of resistance within him, leaving him to hope that the name of the Blood God Sect would instill caution in his opponent. The Blood God Sect? Yin Bei's gaze was puzzled, completely unaware of what they were referring to. Yes, Senior, it is indeed the Blood God Sect. We implore you to spare us for the sake of the sect's reputation. The scarred man's face brightened with hope, believing that the name of the sect had quelled Yin Bei's wrath. At this moment, Feng Han's expression shifted. These individuals could not be allowed to escape, lest they become a source of endless trouble. Ultimately, he refrained from uttering a word. For this enigmatic powerhouse had no connection to him. Merely coming forth to rescue his daughter was already an act of unparalleled kindness. Yet, before the scarred man could revel in his relief, a voice, cold and indifferent, echoed through the air. Blood God Cult. What a preposterous notion. Yin Bei scoffed, resolute in his unwillingness to spare these individuals simply due to threats. His master and Linger were his sole kin in this world. To dare harm them was to seal one's fate. Die. Yin Bei extended his finger, unleashing an unparalleled and terrifying force that erupted from his fingertip. Whoosh. Several beams of light instantaneously pierced through the scarred man and his companions, pinning them in the void and resulting in a gruesome explosion of blood mist. A crimson talisman soared from the blood fog, hovering in the air until Yin Bei summoned it into his grasp. Witnessing such a scene, Feng Han could not suppress a gulp. What a terrifying display of power. In the span of a single breath, he had vanquished all his foes. Thank you, esteemed elder. For your timely intervention, Feng Han managed to utter, enduring the pain within as he bowed deeply to Yin Bei. Yin Bei swiftly sidestepped the gesture, aware that accepting such a bow would surely shorten his lifespan. Once more, he extended his finger, directing a stream of golden energy toward Feng Han. Feng Han's expression shifted, yet he remained motionless. Given this mysterious individual's formidable prowess, any attempt at resistance would be futile. In the next moment, wonder illuminated his face. The soul he had just ignited now regained its tranquility, and he felt a gentle, yet powerful energy flowing through his meridians, mending the injuries within his body one by one. This was the exquisite essence of Yin Bei's Chaos Indestructible Sutra. So long as a breath remained, it could revive and cultivate to great heights. Even with but a drop of blood, Yin Bei could be reborn. At that moment, he merely channeled his energy to infuse Feng Han with pure spiritual power, hastening his recovery. Not far from Yin Bei, Linger gazed at the mysterious figure with eyes alight with wonder. This was her first encounter with such a formidable being, who had come to her aid at a perilous moment. The memory of that golden hand descending with overwhelming majesty caused her heart to race like a startled fawn. Yin Bei's consciousness spread to scan the surroundings, confirming the absence of any remaining allies of the defeated foes, before transforming into a streak of light and vanishing from the scene. He had no desire to linger. Both Linger and Feng Han were intimately acquainted with him, and should his identity be unveiled, it would spell trouble. Chapter 15. The Mysterious Peerless Genius Benefactor. Feng Han called out towards the vanishing figure, now a mere flicker in the distance. Yet, Yin Bei showed no signs of pausing, employing the ghost shadow technique to disappear entirely. Father, who is this esteemed elder? Linger had returned to her father's side, supporting him as she gazed at the receding figure, her eyes shimmering with intrigue. It was only then that Feng Han regained his composure, recalling the visage of the mysterious figure. Suddenly, it dawned on him. This was the same individual who had effortlessly defeated Ling Feng a month prior. According to the description provided by Ling Feng at that time, the figure appeared indistinct, shrouded in a veil of grayish-white mist, adorned in the humble garb of an ordinary disciple of the Qingyan sect. He was likely the extraordinary genius that had stirred the sect a month prior. Feng Han inhaled deeply, his gaze captivated by the distant sky. An extraordinary genius? Ling Er's beautiful eyes sparkled with incredulity. Did this imply that this individual was not an ancient monster who had lived for countless years, but rather a young prodigy akin to herself? Contemplating this, Ling Er's admiration for the mysterious young genius intensified. She fervently wished for an opportunity to behold his true visage. Ling Er, at the tender age of blossoming emotions, felt utterly defenseless against such a powerful and enigmatic young talent. Suddenly, Feng Han sensed several menacing auras approaching from afar. His expression shifted to one of vigilance. Could it be that remnants of the blood spirit sect were lurking nearby? Before long, several bloodied middle-aged men descended into the wind and snow hall. Elder Feng, how are you? One bloodstained man in a Taoist robe landed before Feng Han, his expression grave. These individuals were elders of the Qingyan sect, and their relationship with Feng Han was relatively amicable. Observing their state, Feng Han's heart sank. It seemed they had just emerged from a fierce battle. It was the remnants of the blood spirit sect. Feng Han spoke solemnly, glancing at the spot where the scarred man had fallen. The blood spirit sect? Such audacity to intrude upon our sect. The elder exclaimed, his face flushed with fury. By the way, why do you all appear in such a state? Feng Han inquired, noting the blood splattered across the elders. In truth, the elders had sensed the outbreak of battle in the wind and snow hall the moment it commenced, and they had immediately rushed to provide assistance. However, on their way, they encountered a group of masked individuals. Although these masked figures were not particularly powerful, they did not engage the elders directly, but instead devised means to delay them. Reluctantly, the elders struggled against these masked adversaries for a quarter of an hour before managing to slay several of them, subsequently arriving to offer aid. Masked individuals? Feng Han pondered. The remnants of the blood spirit sect having just been vanquished on his end, yet the origin of these masked figures remained a mystery. How had the remnants of the blood spirit sect infiltrated the Qingyun sect so silently? And how had the masked figures managed to ambush the elders en route to provide support? Such questions sent a chill through Feng Han. There were evidently those within the sect who sought to take his life. He looked at the surrounding elders and shook his head inwardly. They bore him no grudges or enmity and had no reason to conspire against him. Elder Feng, you truly are formidable. Single-handedly vanquishing all these foes from the blood spirit sect. I sensed that there were more than one formidable presence among them. An elder, closely allied with Feng Han, gazed in awe at the enormous handprint left by Yan Bei, his admiration palpable. The other elders were similarly drawn to the scene, their hearts pounding at the terrifying surge of energy they had just witnessed. Now, witnessing this terrifying mark, they were even more shaken. Could such a scene be the result of human effort? You overestimate my capabilities. I possess no such horrifying strength. Were it not for the assistance of a benefactor, I would have long since become a soul lost to the blade. Feng Han bitterly smiled and shook his head. If only he had such formidable power. However, these deeds were not his doing. Benefactor's assistance? The elders were taken aback. Do you still remember the unparalleled genius who defeated Ling Feng a month ago? Feng Han's tone grew serious as he spoke, shrouded in mystery. Of course we remember. Was that not just the fabrications of that ill-intentioned fellow Ling Feng? The elders present bristled with indignation at the mere mention of Ling Feng. Perhaps he did not speak in vain. Feng Han chuckled softly, shaking his head. Not in vain. Old Feng, are you implying that within our sect there truly exists an unparalleled genius? The elder's eyes gleamed with intensity, fixating on Feng Han. Feng Han nodded with a smile. The elders gasped in astonishment. Are you suggesting that this genius was responsible for the deaths of all these individuals? How could that be possible? Ling Feng is merely at the Sea of Qi level, while these individuals are undeniably at the Thunder Tribulation level. Even if our sect possesses such a genius disciple, how could he possibly contend with a Thunder Tribulation expert? The elders were incredulous. A genius disciple capable of slaying a Thunder Tribulation strongman? It would be more believable to claim that a sow could climb a tree. Uncle Li, what father said is true. That unparalleled genius merely used a single finger to reduce them all to a mist of blood. At this moment, Ling Er stepped forward, recalling the scene with palpable shock. Upon hearing Ling Er's words, the elders fell silent. If Feng Han were merely fabricating tales, it would be one thing. But Ling Er was a girl they had watched grow up, and she would not lie. We should promptly inform the sect master of this matter and see how he decides. Feng Han suggested, and the elders nodded in agreement. Soon, a transmission light symbol flew from Feng Han's hand, vanishing into the void. However, recalling the contents of the transmission light symbol, a smile involuntarily crept across Feng Han's lips. I wonder what the sect master and the grand elder will think upon reading the message. Meanwhile, Yan Bei had returned to the cave. Surely, my identity has not been exposed. Reflecting on the events that had transpired, Yan Bei confirmed that he had left no traces and allowed himself to drift back into slumber. He did not wish to reveal his identity. After all, he felt his current strength was still too feeble, needing to personally deal with even the smallest of threats. He believed that only when he could obliterate his foes with a mere thought would he possess a modicum of self-preservation in this realm of cultivation. Chapter 16, Breakthrough. Spirit Realm the next day. Congratulations, host, for successfully signing in. Reward, 100 years of cultivation. Absorb. Yan Bei sat cross-legged and swiftly assimilated the system's reward of 100 years of cultivation. His aura became increasingly formidable. Boom. A bolt of lightning streaked across the sky above Prison Dragon Mountain, and Yan Bei finally shattered the shackles of his limitations, ascending to the realm of the Yuan spirit. With his eyes tightly closed, within the depths of his consciousness, a golden figure emerged. This was the essence of reaching the Yuan spirit realm. His spiritual power could now coalesce into the spiritual body of the Yuan spirit. With this ethereal form, He could cultivate his mental prowess and summon it in critical moments to vanquish his foes. However, such extreme measures were seldom employed. For although the Yuan spirit's offensive capabilities were formidable, it was remarkably fragile. Even the slightest injury could inflict immeasurable harm upon its host. At that moment, the golden figure hovered above Yin Bei's head. This diminutive figure bore an uncanny resemblance to Yin Bei, albeit considerably smaller. After soaring around Prison Dragon Mountain, it returned to the depths of his consciousness. Once the Yuan spirit was reinstated, Yin Bei's aura deepened immeasurably. The mere essence he exuded causing the surrounding stones to tremble incessantly. Is this truly the Yuan spirit realm? Yin Bei exhaled a heavy breath, murmuring to himself. His Yuan spirit could not remain outside for extended periods, as it drained his spiritual energy excessively. To sustain his Yuan spirit externally for longer durations, he would likely need to attain the higher tier of the Divine Palace realm. Nevertheless, this mattered little to Yin Bei. Despite the allure of Yuan spirit power, he dared not expose it recklessly, lest he find himself in mortal peril without understanding how he met his end. He had already risen to become the strongest within the Qingyun sect, yet Yin Bei knew this was far from sufficient. Thus, after a brief period of cultivation, he lay back on the grass mat, striving to suppress the fervor of his impassioned heart. Meanwhile, in an ocean countless distances away from the Qingyun sect, a figure clad in a blue Taoist robe stood upon the azure waves, accompanied by an elderly man with graying hair. They were the Qingyun and the Grand Elder, journeying to the Red Sea ruins in search of opportunities. Suddenly, a glowing talisman descended before them. The Grand Elder extended his hand, and the talisman landed gently within his grasp. What could have transpired for them to resort to a communication talisman? Upon seeing the talisman, Qingyun's expression darkened. Such talismans were scarce within their sect, and typically reserved for significant matters, indicating an urgent crisis had befallen them. After a brief pause, the Grand Elder's face turned grim as he uttered, "The sect has been attacked." "What?" Qingyun's eyes widened in shock, his anger igniting. Who dares to provoke the Qingyun sect? A powerful aura erupted from Qingyun, revealing that he had broken through to the 9th layer of Thunder Tribulation. It seemed their endeavors at the Red Sea ruins had yielded considerable rewards. "Last night, our sect was assaulted by remnants of the Blood Spirit sect," the Grand Elder stated in a grave tone, still processing the full contents of the message. The Blood Spirit sect? He had certainly heard of it. Feng Han had recounted its illustrious exploits during their drunken revelries more than once. Yet, he could scarcely believe that the now-destroyed Blood Spirit sect would dare to attack their own. Just as Qingyun was about to lose his temper, the sect leader reassured him that there were no casualties among the disciples. The Blood Spirit sect's miscreants were targeting Elder Feng Han. Hearing this, Qingyun's expression softened slightly. It was fortunate that they sought out Feng Han, who possessed the formidable strength of a 4th-level Thunder Tribulation realm cultivator. Surely, confronting him would be tantamount to seeking death. Yet, as Qingyun prepared to leave, he couldn't shake off his anxiety, fearing that the moment he stepped out, his sect would be annihilated by rival forces. What was the situation with Elder Feng Han? How many had fallen? A faint smile graced Qingyun's lips, for he believed that the remnants of the Blood Spirit sect were indeed walking into their own demise by challenging Feng Han. He could already envision the scene upon his return to the sect, where Feng Han would boast of his triumphs. The remnants of the Blood Spirit sect included several powerful Thunder Tribulation realm warriors, and if Elder Feng Han were to falter, he would ignite the power of his soul. The more the Grand Elder read, the more alarmed he became. Igniting one's soul was no trivial matter, and it spoke volumes about the ferocity of the battle that had ensued. Qingyun's smile abruptly stiffened. Several Thunder Tribulation realm warriors. His complexion paled, his body trembled, and his heart felt as though it were gripped by an unseen hand. Feng Han was his closest friend. Should he fall, it would feel as if Qingyun had lost a vital limb. Just as his rage was about to boil over, the Grand Elder interrupted him once more. However, there was a mysterious individual who intervened, and Elder Feng Han was unharmed. The remnants of the Blood Spirit sect were all subdued by this enigmatic savior. The Grand Elder wiped the beads of sweat from his brow and continued reading the luminous inscription. At that moment, Qingyun was utterly dumbfounded, not because Feng Han was safe, nor due to the mysterious figure's involvement. Could you possibly articulate everything in one go? Qingyun could no longer contain himself. He snatched the luminous inscription from the Grand Elder's hands, eager to decipher its contents himself. Yet, with each line he read, his frown deepened. He soon realized that it was not the Grand Elder's fault, but rather the individual who had inscribed the message had divided the events into several segments. Patiently, Qingyun continued to scan the luminous text. As he progressed, his expressions shifted from initial concern to solemnity, ultimately culminating in sheer astonishment. After a lengthy pause, the phrase "once-in-a-generation genius" escaped simultaneously from both Qing Yun and the Grand Elder. Their eyes met, revealing the shock mirrored in each other's gaze. Indeed, Ling Feng had not lied. A prodigious talent had emerged within Qing Yun's sect, who had once again come to their aid during a time of crisis. Even individuals of their stature, like Qing Yun and the Grand Elder, found their hearts racing with excitement upon absorbing the information contained within the inscription. This exceptional genius had effortlessly dispatched multiple Thunder Tribulation Realm warriors with a mere finger. After a moment, Qing Yun's tumultuous emotions finally settled. He revisited the message in his hands, vowing that if he discovered the identity of the writer, he would not let them off lightly. Qing Yun's teeth ground audibly, but when he glanced at the signature, he froze in disbelief. Wind. A vibrant mark adorned the end, casting an unexpected stillness over the air. It was, astonishingly, the work of that old rascal, Feng Han. In that moment, Qing Yun was utterly taken aback. He could hardly believe that Feng Han had the audacity to jest at such a time. A bitter smile crept onto his lips as he thought, "You, my friend, just wait until I return. I shall show you no mercy." With a cold snort, Qing Yun soared into the sky. "Master, where are you headed?" the Grand Elder asked, somewhat bewildered. "With such a prodigious talent emerging from our sect, I must return and see for myself just who you are." Qing Yun transformed into a bolt of lightning, vanishing over the expanse of the ocean in an instant. Chapter 17. Fragments of the primordial cauldron. Time flowed swiftly, and 7 days later, with a resounding crack, Qing Yun finally returned to the sect. Everyone within the Qing Yun sect gazed up at the figure in the sky with expressions of joy, sensing that their leader had grown even more formidable. However, Qing Yun did not linger. He darted like lightning straight towards the snowy hall. Upon arrival, he found Feng Han already waiting at the entrance. Upon seeing him, Qing Yun's previously calm demeanor twisted into one of fury as he seized Feng Han by the collar. "That communication talisman you sent nearly gave me a heart attack." Feng Han was momentarily stunned before bursting into hearty laughter, realizing the unintended success of his prank. Having the opportunity to tease the sect leader was a source of immense delight for him. "By the way, Master, I thought you would be occupied at the Red Sea ruins for a while longer. What brings you back so soon?" Feng Han, now composed, clasped his hands in greeting. "With such significant events transpiring within the sect, I naturally had to return to investigate," Qing Yun replied, casting an annoyed glance at Feng Han. "Is it true? Is there truly an unparalleled genius hidden within our ranks?" Qing Yun's tone shifted, his expression one of skepticism. On his way back, he had felt a sense of doubt. Even if there were an extraordinary talent within the sect, how could they possibly rival a formidable opponent like a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert? After all, even the remnants of that power could not withstand Feng Han. Indeed, it is absolutely true. Had it not been for his intervention that day, both Linger and I might have already perished. When speaking of that mysterious genius, a look of awe swept across Feng Han's face. Listening to Feng Han's account of the events, Qing Yun couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. His curiosity piqued even further about the identity of this enigmatic prodigy. "An unparalleled genius? I must uncover who you are." Qing Yun's eyes shone with brilliant determination as he resolved to seek out this mysterious figure. On Prison Dragon Mountain, Yin Bei suddenly sneezed for reasons unknown. This prompted him to mutter to himself, "How can I, now at the Spirit Soul Realm, still catch a cold?" However, he paid little mind to it. System, sign in. Yin Bei focused on a small tomato within his sea of consciousness. Ever since stepping into the Spirit Soul Realm, he had been able to perceive the system within his mind, which took the form of a small tomato. "Congratulations, host, on successfully signing in. Reward, 1 shard of the primordial chi cauldron." As the system's voice faded, a pitch-black spatial rift materialized before him. Suddenly, Yin Bei's expression shifted as a terrifying aura, imbued with overwhelming power, surged forth from the rift, drawing closer. Boom! A bronze fragment, akin to a meteor shattering the darkness, burst forth from the spatial tear. Yin Bei gazed at the bronze shard suspended before him, unable to suppress a gulp of astonishment. It was indeed a shard of the primordial chi cauldron. He was exceedingly familiar with this legendary artifact, renowned for its capacity to vanquish even celestial beings. The fact that it had manifested in his grasp, albeit merely a fragment, was astonishing. He could sense the formidable power within it, potent enough to obliterate him effortlessly. As Yin Bei reached out to grasp the bronze shard, he felt the terrifying energy coursing through it, leaving him secretly awestruck. Just a single shard wielded such tremendous might. If only he could restore the entire primordial chi cauldron. The thought brought a smile to his face. He had been lamenting the lack of weaponry, and this bronze shard arrived at the perfect moment. System, how many shards are required to restore the primordial chi cauldron? Yin Bei promptly inquired of the little tomato in his consciousness. The primordial chi cauldron consists of 3,000 bronze shards and Xian Huang Qi. The host requires 2,999 additional bronze shards and Xianhuang Qi to reconstruct the primordial Qi cauldron. The little tomato diligently explained. 2,999 more shards, plus Xianhuang Qi. Upon hearing this, Yanbei rolled his eyes in exasperation and carelessly tossed the bronze shard into his spatial ring. Where was he to find so many bronze shards? How frustrating. With a bemused expression, Yanbei resumed his position on the grass mat, intending to rest. No, to cultivate. The following day, as dawn broke, Yanbei was still in a drowsy state when he heard a voice calling out from outside the cave, seemingly searching for him. Confused, he pondered who could possibly be calling his name, as there were typically no visitors to Prison Dragon Mountain. Reluctant to rise, he nonetheless summoned the courage to throw off his blanket and step out of the cave. Yanbei, you finally emerged. A disciple guarding Prison Dragon Mountain sighed in relief upon seeing him. Brother Zhang, is breakfast really this early? Yanbei was taken aback. It was barely dawn, and he was hardly ready to eat. No, Yanbei, you must come with me to the sect square. The disciple shook his head. To the sect square? Yanbei replied, puzzled. Hurry, it's not just you. All disciples of the sect must attend. Brother Zhang said with a grave expression. What on earth is happening? Yanbei was utterly bewildered. Even he was required to go to the sect square? Zhang, the senior brother, glanced around before stepping closer and whispering. I happened to overhear the elder mentioning that our sect seems to have produced an extraordinary genius. It is said that this individual can slay a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert with a mere glance, instilling terror far and wide. The sect leader is now sending word everywhere to find him. Oh, to vanquish a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert with a single look? Upon hearing this, Yanbei could not help but twitch the corners of his mouth. It remains uncertain who could be so hyperbolic. If he truly possessed such terrifying power, would he still be here, meek and submissive? However, it had only been a few days since he last acted. And yet the Qingyun sect leader had already received news and even returned from the Red Sea ruins. The swiftness of this news was indeed remarkable. All right, let us go. If our sect truly has such a prodigious talent, then Qingyun sect will surely gain renown in the Eastern domain. Zhang exclaimed, his face alight with excitement, as if he were the extraordinary genius himself. Very well, let us depart. Yanbei hesitated for a moment, but ultimately decided to descend the mountain for a look. After all, if everyone else was going, it would be rather conspicuous for him to abstain. Concurrently, Yanbei felt a sense of confidence within the Qingyun sect. No one should be able to discern his true identity, for he was merely an ordinary disciple. Chapter 18. Not for invincibility in the world, but to safeguard what one loves in the sect's plaza. Yanbei quickly followed senior brother Zhang to the bustling scene. The plaza was teeming with people, as thousands of disciples from Qingyun's sect gathered, engaging in fervent discussions, the atmosphere lively and noisy. Have you heard? Our sect has produced a genius who can slay a Thunder Tribulation expert with a single gaze. Slay a Thunder Tribulation expert with a mere glance? How could that be possible? Indeed, it must only be a legendary figure who has transcended into the Four Extremes realm that possesses such divine abilities. How could a mere youthful genius achieve this? If such an extraordinary talent truly exists within our sect, I would drink the water from the latrine dry. Me too. I would do the same. The discussions in the plaza were fervent, yet most were skeptical that Qingyun's sect had indeed produced a genius capable of such feats. Standing nearby, Yanbei could naturally hear their words, and he could only manage a wry smile. Senior brother, you're here too. A melodious voice called from a distance. As a young girl waved enthusiastically, this voice captured the attention of many male disciples present, who turned to look. The girl possessed bright, sparkling eyes, clear and pure. Shining like the stars, her crescent-shaped smile seemed to exude an ethereal charm. With every expression, her noble demeanor shone through, leaving onlookers in awe of her graceful and refined brilliance. The newcomer was none other than Linger, who hurried over upon spotting Yanbei. Linger was quite renowned within Qingyun's sect as the only daughter of Elder Fenghan, blessed with striking beauty and figure akin to the beloved Saintess Qiming, and was the object of many young men's dreams. Her arrival sent the male disciples into a frenzy, as the opportunity to be in such close proximity to the object of their fantasies was a scene they had imagined countless times. Yanbei turned his head and, upon seeing Ling Er, finally revealed a smile on his face. Junior sister, it has been a long time. However, many individuals beside him rolled their eyes upon hearing his words. In their view, how could this seemingly ordinary disciple possibly know a woman of Ling Er's stature? Just as some disciples were preparing to mock Yanbei, Ling Er hurriedly approached him, her beautiful eyes betraying a hint of pleading. Senior brother, you have finally come down. Come home with me for dinner tonight. You won't be returning, will you? The scene left everyone present astounded. It was one thing for Ling Er to recognize this ordinary disciple, but to invite him home for dinner and desire to keep him overnight? What on earth? The many male disciples looked at Ling Er as if they were seeing her for the first time. Was the daughter of Elder Feng Han so open-minded? Their gazes towards Yin Bei also shifted. Indeed, this young man was quite handsome. Little girl, do be careful not to be deceived by ill-intentioned individuals. The world is fraught with dangers, and human hearts are difficult to gauge. At this moment, some disciples could not help but advise Ling Er, urging her to retreat and safeguard herself. They all nodded in agreement, unwilling to let such a charming young lady fall into misfortune. After all, they believed that Yin Bei must have used sweet words to deceive Ling Er. What are you all talking about? I don't understand, Ling Er said, her beautiful eyes wide with confusion. All right, don't mind them. It has indeed been a while since I descended the mountain. Tonight is a perfect opportunity to visit our master. Yin Bei replied, reaching out to tousle her hair. Ling Er remained as clingy as she had always been. Oh, that's wonderful. Father will surely be delighted to see you. Ling Er exclaimed joyfully, leaping onto Yin Bei. Now, many people are watching, Yin Bei said with a wry smile, looking at the girl clinging to him. Realizing her position, Ling Er blushed, her skin, as fair as jade, visibly reddening, and she shyly hid behind him, seeing the disciples around them eyeing him with hostility. Yin Bei felt helpless and led Ling Er to a different location, wary of being ambushed by the crowd. In a quieter area, Yin Bei and Ling Er stood side by side. Senior brother, do you know why the sect leader has summoned us? Ling Er asked, gazing perplexedly at the high platform where the sect leader had yet to arrive. She had just concluded her seclusion and was unaware of the circumstances that had brought her here. I heard that a peerless genius has emerged within the sect, and the sect leader summoned us to identify this individual, Yin Bei replied absent-mindedly, contemplating his visit to the Fengxue Hall later. I didn't expect you to be so well informed. Even from Prison Dragon Mountain, Ling Er exclaimed, her beautiful eyes fixed on Yin Bei, as if trying to discern something. I merely heard it from the senior brothers. It is said that this extraordinary genius can defeat those in the Thunder Tribulation realm with a single glance. Whether it is true or not remains uncertain. Yin Bei remarked with a faint smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Only Feng Han and Ling Er have witnessed his prowess. Surely, Master Feng Han would not spread baseless rumors. Could it possibly be Ling Er? Upon hearing this, Ling Er let out a chuckle. One strike to annihilate a Thunder Calamity Realm opponent? Junior sister, what are you laughing at? Yin Bei inquired, a smile playing on his lips as he regarded Ling Er. They are just spouting nonsense, and you believe them? I have seen that extraordinary genius with my own eyes. Ling Er proudly proclaimed, her fully developed figure accentuating her confidence. Oh, you have seen him, junior sister? Yin Bei feigned astonishment, finding amusement in the idle gossip. Ling Er covered her mouth, realizing she had let slip too much. What's wrong? Can't you speak of it? Yin Bei asked, puzzled. Sigh. If father finds out, he will surely scold me, Ling Er murmured softly, glancing at Feng Han, who sat majestically on the high platform. Feng Han had advised Ling Er not to disclose the events of that night to Yin Bei, wishing to spare him concern while he cultivated in the Prison Dragon Mountain. Under Yin Bei's persistent questioning, Ling Er ultimately revealed the truth. After a moment, Yin Bei's gaze flickered with a complex emotion as he stared at the figure on the high platform, rendered speechless for a long time. Even when faced with peril, Master had chosen not to disclose this matter to him, fearing it might disrupt his cultivation. This feeling of being cared for filled Yin Bei with warmth. Such is the essence of familial bonds. Even amidst sorrow and suffering, one would refrain from worrying their loved ones. Yin Bei looked at Ling Er with softened eyes, realizing the significance of his own cultivation in this world, not for fame or glory, nor to be unrivaled, but solely to protect those he cherishes. Chapter 19. Selling off his daughter in the Qingyun sect. Atop a high platform in the sect square, Qingyun finally arrived amidst a gathering of elders. His eyes sparkled with an enigmatic brilliance as he scanned the numerous disciples present. Sect Master, all disciples have assembled, with none absent. A sect steward stepped forward, clasping his hands in greeting. Qingyun withdrew his gaze, feeling a tinge of disappointment. He had just employed his divine sense to envelop the area, meticulously inspecting the disciples' cultivation levels. But regrettably, he had not located the individual he sought. Not found. Feng Han, observing Qingyun's expression, began to suspect. This person's concealment techniques are extraordinarily proficient. Even I cannot discern any clues. Qingyun sighed lightly, shaking his head. In that case, let us proceed as planned, Feng Han said with a resigned gesture. Esteemed disciples of Qingyun sect, I am here to announce a momentous piece of news that you may have already heard. Our sect has produced a remarkably gifted young genius. Qingyun declared passionately to the assembled disciples. Wow, I can't believe it's true. There really is an unparalleled genius in our sect. Of course, the sect master himself has proclaimed it. How could it possibly be false? As soon as Qingyun's voice fell, the atmosphere began to boil over, with countless disciples glancing around. eager to catch a glimpse of the legendary young prodigy. Where was that fellow who had just been about to drink the water from the cesspool? Where was this extraordinary genius? Who is he? Let me see this remarkable young talent. In an instant, the scene was filled with a cacophony of discussions. Yin Bei, standing amidst the crowd, smiled faintly. This Qingyun sect leader was overly confident. How could he expect to coax him out with such methods? Cough, cough, everyone quiet down. Qingyun said, clearing his throat and gently pressing his palm down, which instantly silenced the disciples. Now, let us invite our distinguished disciple to step forward to the high platform. Qingyun's voice resonated through the venue like a mighty bell. Countless disciples held their breath, anxious to see who this unparalleled genius truly was. As time ticked away, 1 minute, 2 minutes, the disciples began to exchange puzzled glances at Qingyun. At this moment, even Qingyun started to feel restless. This disciple was giving him too little face by not appearing. It seemed he needed to offer a little incentive. This prodigy of our Qingyun sect, I am aware of your modest nature and indifference to fame and fortune. But cultivation is not merely a solitary endeavor. It is equally important to emphasize resources. If you step forward now, I am willing to immediately decree you as the young sect master, your status surpassing that of the holy sons and daughters. From henceforth, the Qingyun sect will become your most steadfast support on your journey of cultivation. Qingyun gritted his teeth, raising the stakes, determined that no one could resist such an enticement. Young sect master. The disciples gasped in awe. Attaining such a position would undoubtedly secure one's leadership over the Qingyun sect in the future. Envy radiated from every gaze, except for one. That was the holy son of Qingyun, whose face was now as dark as the bottom of a pot. His resentment towards this unparalleled genius had even surpassed that which Yin Bei felt upon seeing the holy maiden's figure. If he were to discover the identity of this individual, he would undoubtedly not let it rest easily. Yin Bei, standing still, chuckled softly. The conditions proposed by Qingyun did not stir even the slightest ripple within his heart. The young sect master of Qingyun? It sounded utterly lacking in prestige. What resources could they possibly offer him? Having already reached the primordial spirit realm, what could the Qingyun sect provide to aid him? Were it not for the connection with his master and Linger, he would have long since moved the Qiu Long mountain away. He would not step out, not for anything. He was a man with dreams. And how could he be swayed by such trivial temptations? Still unwilling to appear? What a remarkable genius. Qingyun ground his teeth in frustration, though he maintained an air of calmness on the surface, unwilling to allow the disciples to witness his discomposure. Cough, cough. It seems our genius disciple has quite the appetite. I do admire such individuals. Let it be known that Qiming is the holy maiden of the Qingyun sect, and also my biological daughter. Speaking of which, Qiming has reached the age for courtship. If this disciple were to step forward at this moment, I, the sect master, would willingly betroth the holy maiden to you. The voice of Qingyun reverberated like thunder, echoing in the ears of every disciple present. As soon as the words left his lips, the male disciples erupted into a frenzy. Their previous admiration for this enigmatic prodigy had swiftly morphed into jealousy. Qiming, she is the epitome of beauty within the Qingyun sect, unmatched in both talent and appearance throughout the entire sect. Moreover, Qiming possesses a cold demeanor, unparalleled beauty, and an alluring figure. Conquering such an icy beauty would provide the utmost sense of accomplishment. To become her companion would promise a life of indescribable happiness. At this moment, a rosy hue crept across Qiming's face as she cast a reproachful glance at her father. The sight of her bashful expression ignited envy among the disciples, who wished fervently to be that mysterious genius. The holy son of Qingyun wore a grim expression, astonished that this typically composed sect master would so readily offer up his own daughter. Witnessing Qiming's shy demeanor ignited a tide of unnameable fury within him. How dare this despicable woman, whose identity remains unknown, attempt to attach herself to him? His heart seethed with rage, yet he dared not display it, merely grinding his teeth in silence. His gaze, however, shifted restlessly, hinting at the turmoil of thoughts within. Not far away, Yin Bei stroked his chin, nearly succumbing to the temptation of agreeing when he heard this. The sect master of Qingyun certainly knows how to make sacrifices, offering not only the position of junior sect leader and resources, but now even his daughter. He gazed at Qiming standing before him, and an image of her flawless form ignited a fervor within him. The notion of desire is but an illusion, and yet, amid this fervor, he recited a silent mantra to keep his impulses in check. What a fierce Qingyun, nearly disrupting my path. With a heart devoid of women, I shall naturally attain enlightenment. Yin Bei closed his eyes, regulating his breath to dispel thoughts of Qiming. Chapter 20. The betrayal of the holy sun. Time passed, and Qingyun's composure seemed to wane. Despite offering such generous terms, even wagering his own daughter, there remained no sign of movement from the other party. Brother, do you think this mysterious genius will truly appear? Linger inquired, her eyes wide with anticipation as she looked at Yanbei. "I doubt he will show himself," Yanbei replied with a gentle smile and a shake of his head. "How can you be so sure this enigmatic figure won't emerge? Could it be that you are the mysterious one, brother?" Linger teased, her gaze fixed on Yanbei, a playful grin on her face. Yanbei's heart skipped a beat. Could she have recognized him? Yet as he pondered, he realized that he had revealed no telltale signs. How could Linger possibly discern his true identity? "If only I could be that enigmatic figure, I would promptly retrieve the Saintess from Prison Dragon Mountain." Yanbei maintained an unperturbed demeanor, chuckling lightly as he shook his head. Ling gazed intently at Yanbei, feeling an inexplicable sensation within her heart. Ever since that night she encountered the mysterious person, her soul had been in